My friend says caffeine's a drug. I said, oh, tell your friend, fuck you.
I don't want to be a buddy, but I just want a little breakfast.
Hello and welcome to Breakfast Punks, a podcast about weird shit, DIY punk and trashy movies, brought to you by Sham City Roasters and Deadbeat Donuts. From Hastings, I'm Dave.
And I'm Siobhan, and this is episode 20 of the podcast, and we're talking about Wotsit Called Fest and the film Rockula from 1990.
And Wotsit Called Fest may excuse why both of our voices sound like we've been kicked in the throat.
We feel wonderful.
So, let's kick off with some music. This first song is from a band called Rort Menace, who are from Newcastle, but not the Newcastle that you probably think of, unless you're in Australia, because it's Newcastle in Australia. That was good.
That was good.
This is from their new digital EP, which is called Churia, and it's just come out. So this is Rort Menace with their song Royal Permission.
Everyone, and the highlights of the news this Thursday.
Breaking news is part of this job.
You are fake news. This is what's happening in your world tonight. It's fucking news.
So I'm going to kick off with a quick bit of Sham City Roasters news. I'm doing a brand new collaboration with a Hastings artist by the name of Tom Kofode, who I've just realised surname I've never actually said out loud before, so that might be completely wrong.
Apologies,
Sorry, Tom, if I got that wrong. It's based on Saved by the Bell, the 90s sitcom. Is it a sitcom?
Yeah. Is it a sitcom or like teenage thing?
Wonder drama.
What would the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air be called? Not that it's the same, but it's that sort of shenanigan, isn't it?
Teenage less wonder drama.
Cool. So a teenage full wonder drama called Saved by the Bell. I think that's fine.
Yeah. And so we've made a brand new coffee, which is a coffee blend, and we made a mug and a set of stickers featuring all of the characters, all your favourite characters by the Saved by the Bell kids.
They are beautiful. I'm staring at them right now, and it's the most colourful, wonderful thing I've ever seen.
So go and check out shamcityroasters.com. There is a brand new Saved by the Bell series that's come out.
A brand new one? Does it have people from the past?
No,
Hasn't some of those people died?
Screech is dead.
Screech is dead. Screech is the only person that I'm aware of in Saved by the Bell.
I'm pretty sure I have a story in my head, which I've told definitely told Tom very recently as fact, and I'm pretty sure it is fact, that when I was very young, Zach Morris, the main character from Saved by the Bell, on the inside of his wardrobe had a Misfits Walk Among Us poster.
Aww.
And it was the first time I ever saw the Misfits. As in, just, and you could, really
like
stood
any reference
out.
to
And,
them.
and I was just like, so I always remembered it. And then years later...
You become the punk you are now.
Well, no, I found out about who the Misfits are.
Okay.
But I'm not sure, I've never actually found any evidence that there is a Misfits poster in Saved by the Bell. So if anybody has that evidence, or can back me up in any way,
Yeah.
shamcityroasters@gmail.com.
So, my first story is about a new documentary that is coming out very soon. In fact, I think it just premiered, and there's a trailer out for it, which we can add to the playlist. And it's about the Insane Clown Posse versus the FBI, which I think we've mentioned before.
Is it like a horror movie?
No, it's a document. No, it's not
Is it
like a slasher.
Freddy versus Jason?
Yeah. The ICP versus the FBI. No. It is a documentary about the Insane Clown Posse going to the Supreme Court against the FBI for them classifying them as a gang. I think we mentioned it in the Insane Clown Posse episode that we did. I'm sure we did do that. Whoop, whoop.
We did cover a lot of areas, yes.
We did cover a lot. But for those who don't remember, the FBI classified Insane Clown Posse's fans as a gang, and essentially it's basically because they listen to rubbish music and they dress weird, which is a shame. So this is a documentary that looks to be covering that. And apparently the legal battle is going on still. I didn't know
I
that.
thought it was done and dusted.
I thought it was done and dusted, but this article seems to say that it's still going on. I wonder if it comes to an end in the documentary. That would make for good watching,
How exciting.
wouldn't it?
A little bit like the end of Freddy versus Jason, where they actually meet. Don't you think that the FBI deciding that Juggalos were a gang is probably the best thing that could have happened to ICP's extremely flagging career, and it's brought them back into the mainstream? And don't you think that they're probably making this film because it's their last chance at getting a bit of attention?
I mean, yeah, 1,000%. And it's the only. And prior to this happening, I must say I did not care for ICP at all. I thought they were interesting, and I probably laughed at them quite a bit. But I felt extraordinarily sorry for them when this happened.
Did you not enjoy their freestyles and their rappings?
Not, I have certain joys for whooping.
Yeah, you
that's
are
about
fond
it.
of that.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm quite a whooper nowadays.
That's probably why you've not got a voice now.
Oh God, so much whooping.
Weekend whooping.
Weekend whooping.
Well, have you heard about the man who almost died because he inserted an 8-inch eel into his anus to relieve constipation?
No, I haven't heard that.
Well, a Chinese man was very constipated, and so he decided to shove an entire live eel up his bum. He's a man from, I don't know how you say this, Tsinghua? It's definitely not that.
Definitely, I don't ever want to read it and prove what. No, I don't know what you said.
And he was very constipated, and so apparently there's an old like Chinese belief that if you put an eel up your bum, it gets rid of constipation.
What? But because it'll like eat the poo and then fall out.
It doesn't explain exactly what.
Surely it'll just get bigger. If it ate the poo, it'd just be another layer to this turd bullet inside your intestine.
Well, it certainly could do if the person doing it doesn't realise that they're very slippery and loses the entire eel in his rectum.
But how if he's so full of poo?
Well, because the fish proceeded to go slightly nuts, chewed through the man's intestines, and ended up in a body cavity.
A body cavity.
Well, yeah,
Like
he must have
a
chewed
lung?
through and just gotten a little space between his organs, I guess. I don't really know.
Sitting here like a hernia.
He left it till the next day. Then he sought medical attention because he was in quite a lot of pain. And he was still alive when they pulled it out.
Oh, well, that's good.
He could have died.
He should have died.
And the eel was covered in fecal matter.
Oh. I guess, well, I hope he wasn't constipated after all of that. I assume whilst he was seeking medical attention for removing the eel, they might have given him a laxative or two.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Hopefully. Otherwise, they just sew him back up and send him back out and he's still constipated. He'll be constipated from the pain relief.
I
he's
think
been
that probably
given.
the constipation at that point was the least of their concerns.
Need to get
Probably
this
this
eel out.
live eel that was just swimming around in his body, who had eaten through his intestines, was probably a bigger issue. Anyway, on body horror, let's stick with body horror very quickly, because I have got one more quick one that I just want to say. A mother and daughter killed an adult film actress with butt implants.
Oh, killed someone.
They
Murdered?
killed someone with butt implants.
Oh.
A mother and daughter team have been doing illegal, like, backstreet surgery, cosmetic surgery on
That's
people.
it. So I've just realised what a butt implant is. I'm thinking it's like something up the butt. You mean like butt cheek implants?
Yeah.
No.
They didn't put an heel up there.
Yeah, no, I'm just
No.
thinking up the bum still from before.
But from what I can make out, they just rammed a load of silicone in this poor person's bum. But obviously, silicone is supposed to be in something. You can't just shove a tube in the thing. And apparently, butt implants are normally like flesh from other parts of the body that you put in the butt. But these two didn't realise this. But most of the reason why I bring this up, everybody listening at home, if you'd just like to Google some sort of variation of mother and daughter kill adult film actress with butt implants, and just have a look at the state of these two human beings who did this surgery, and are, well, not both of them, one of them really, the mother, let's be blunt. And we do have a long history of face shaming on this podcast.
Oh, God.
But I'm gonna but I think this is an obvious one. This woman looks like she's been blown up with a balloon in the entire face. She's made herself look like a monster, and someone has gone to her and said, I need some butt implants. Here's 14 grand. Will you and your funny looking daughter, who also has weird lips, but it more or less looks like a human being, could you do this for me, please?
I mean, so I've done what I hope that the people at home are doing right now, and I've Googled it. Oh, wow. Oh, wowza, wowza.
Her name is Libby Adame, if that
Adame.
helps. She's and her headshot makes it sound like she's an actress. Her headshot from the LAPD.
Her mugshot.
Her mugshot.
And
that's
what a mug.
That's the word I'm looking for.
And what a mug.
Mugshot is the perfect explanation for what this woman's face looks like.
She looks like she's put so much stuff into her mouth that it's falling off. Like, there's such a big gap between her nose and her mouth. I think that her mouth must be so heavy that it's just falling down her face.
It's like a landslide.
Yeah.
Her face is like an actual landslide.
It literally is sliding right off her. Whereas her daughter has done something quite the opposite.
Well, the daughter looks... If you glance at the daughter, you'd just think she was kind of an average-looking young girl. But she has got some weird shit going on. She looks like she's got a second mouth beneath her own mouth.
It does look like she's got lips on top of her mouth.
So, yeah, Google these people.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was anything about this on YouTube, I'll put it on the playlist. But I'm guessing there might not be.
In similar kind of body, maybe more to do with your previous story, I'm just going to read out a quote from the person that this is about before I carry on. I grabbed the bag, I felt something smushy on the bag, so I turned it over, and there it was, lamented shopper Shirley Wright Johnson. And this is about alleged pizza roll pooper is apprehended after Oklahoma grocery store incident. Now imagine poor Shirley Wright Johnson's dismay when she reaches in the freezer for a bag of pizza rolls to find that it ain't what she expected.
Someone's pooed in the pizza rolls and put it in the freezer. Is this what
she
I
had
got
a
this right?
crappy shopping experience. The person who wrote this is brilliant. Shirley Wright Johnson had a crappy shopping experience.
Jesus
literally. She said she was picking the items up in a grocery store with her two daughters. When she reached for the bag of frozen pizza rolls, she quickly discovered something else in her hand. Human excrement.
Have they worked out how the excrement got in the bag?
They have.
I mean, there's only one way, but I mean, do they get to the bottom of the mystery? I suppose
They do get to the bottom of the mystery quite quickly. I love that on TV. She said, "I pick up a bag of pizza rolls, and there's literally shit, human shit." Excuse my language. Like, Christ, it's probably on like the 6 o'clock news. But yeah, so basically they looked at the CCTV, and there is a video of someone. Sorry, they haven't just looked at the CCTV. They have.
You can too. Is that what
No.
you're saying?
Oh, I wish. No. Again, this article, whoever wrote this is just having a lovely time. More police using more being the place. Sorry, I haven't described this well at all.
Oh, good. Don't worry, we're not doing a podcast.
Yeah, I know. More police using surveillance video from the scene of the grime. No. Doesn't end there. Flushed out a man they identified as a person of interest. And he is booked whilst the poop probe continues. They haven't released his name because they haven't formally charged him yet. But they do have someone in mind.
What brings a person? So he did it in the shop?
Well, he's also been taking photos of women in the shop, and then he did a poo in the freezer. And what he did is he did a poo onto a bag of pizza rolls and then put another bag of pizza rolls on top of it.
So that means
it
that
was
this woman bought 2 bags of pizza
Well, no,
rolls.
she picked up one.
So shame on her.
No, she picked up one, and it was on the bag. So she picked it up and went, "Oh, what's this?" And she's covered in poo. And
Oh, I thought she'd got it home. I thought she'd like put it in the oven or something.
No, when I first read this, I was really hoping that someone had cleverly pooped inside a bag.
That's
of pizza
exactly
rolls.
what I thought would happen. Yeah.
But the ride home was miserable, she said, even though she quickly scrubbed off her hands. All the way home, my kids were like, Mum, I can smell it, I can smell it. I'm like, I smell it too, baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Poor Shirley Wright Johnson. And at the beginning of this article, some people may find the below description of the crime offensive.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm not sure whether you need a trigger warning on someone pooing in a freezer.
I think David Moy from HuffPost US really enjoyed writing that.
Oh, God. I almost worry about him more than the man pooing in the freezer. I still wonder what brings a person to do it, because whilst he's obviously just like a weirdo.
I mean, mental illness or a weirdo.
I mean, the two could be twins.
True, I reckon a mentally unwell,
Weird.
strange man. Yes. Someone with a fetish for watching other women find his poo.
My
Is
experience...
that a thing? That might be a thing.
Well, so, yeah, I think they're definitely... I'm not questioning the possibility that this is a sort of a pervert kind of doing something weird. But my experience of men pooing in public and throwing it around, having been a psychiatric nurse for a very long time in my life, it's more been, how would you describe it? More of a party than a sexual
More of a
act.
party?
Yeah, it's more sort of just throwing it around on the walls, throwing it at you.
Yeah.
Sometimes rubbing it on yourself, doing a bit of a G.G. Allen.
Just doing a massive poo of yourself because you couldn't help it because you're either drunk or you're on too many drugs.
Yeah, or having those trousers that have
Cuffed bottoms.
cuffed at the bottoms, and then just filling them up from the foot
And it
all the way
ballooning
up.
onto the floor in front of everyone.
Because you've had too much clozapine.
Yeah. God, we've had a really nice nursing career together. No, I think about it. That wasn't Dave, by the way. Sorry, it was a patient that both me and Dave nursed. Not Dave, just at work.
I don't think we're allowed to say any of that, are we? Anyway,
We have.
yeah. No, I'm just saying. I've experienced a lot of mentally unwell people doing various things with poo, and it's never been a sex act. But again, I'm not in any way saying that it never is, or that this person isn't. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I don't know why I said it, really.
I think you might be right.
Probably
I think
because I'm still hungover.
Yeah. Who's to say... we've added the sexual element to this, actually. So, who's to say it was even sexual? He's probably just a weirdo pooing in the freezer.
I will say, I think journalistic-wise, we got deeper into the subject than Twatty No Bollocks from
Twatty No Bollocks,
Huffington Post
Yeah.
US, or whatever his name is.
He just wanted to say Scene of the Grime, which I still think is really good. God, that's a good band name. No, it's not. Scene of the Grime. You want to be in that band?
I don't want to be in a grime band, really. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could pull it off. I suppose I might be able to just about get away with being on the decks.
If you had a Hawaiian shirt on, you could be ironic somehow.
I'm not sure that would help my cause, to be honest. Oh, look, there's a 40-year-old man. He's a bit weird that he's in that grime band. Oh, he's put on a Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, it all makes sense now. And you could have a little funky bandana.
Yeah, that would help.
I think that would help.
Yeah, like Brett Michaels from Poison.
1,000%.
With a wig on the bottom.
Oh, wig dana.
A wig dana.
Do it.
And maybe, what else could I do to make myself look really young? Chew some tobacco. Play the spoons.
Look at... Oh, gosh, David's really good in that grime band he's in now. See him with his bandana, chewing his backy.
Chewing his backy while he's on the spoons.
While he's on the spoons. That's nice that they let him in that band. Old Blazing Squads are still going and decided they're grime now.
Would absolutely be just care in the community, wouldn't it?
Scene of the Grime featuring David Cullen on the spoons.
Talking about the grime, I've actually got another poo story.
For God's sake.
I didn't even realise. Let me get the headline out of the way first, because it becomes a poo story, but initially it's not.
Okay.
New evidence shows that penguins might actually be aliens.
Oh.
Yeah. Everyone's favourite animal.
I really am
the
worried about how
penguin.
this then becomes poo.
Well, it's not disgusting. They're not.
Okay.
They're not filling their legs up with poo or throwing it at anyone or rubbing it on the face or anything.
No eels going up their bum to clear them of poo.
No.
Good.
Experts, boffin. Let's call them boffins.
I like boffin.
Learned that in penguin poo, there's traces of a chemical called phosphine. That doesn't seem like a big deal,
No,
says the
it
article.
doesn't.
This is almost as well. This is from the iHeart.com website. I don't even know what that is, but it's about as good as Huffington Post, I think.
Okay.
The strange thing is that phosphine has only ever been found on the planet Venus, which is 38 million miles away. And no one can work out why penguins have got this substance in their poo, apart from the possibility that they are actually aliens.
Wow. What the fuck? Well, how have we ever had... Wait a minute. No. Okay, sorry, boffins. But how do we know that there's phosphine on Venus? Have we been to Venus? Has anyone been to Venus? Do we have phosphine from Venus? How do they know this stuff? And also, is it only in penguin poo, or does any other poo have it? Have they tried all other poos? Does my poo have it in?
I think
Does
you'll
your
have
poo have it
to
in?
get a phosphine tester.
I'd like the phosphine kit. Can we get it when we get our PCR kit from the government?
Yeah, I imagine. Actually, I think if you just shove one of them in your poo, it might tell you. I don't know. He doesn't say anything. I just took that as rote. Like, I didn't question the fact that Venus has that on it. But you're right. I presume some sort of probe has gone to Venus.
Yeah,
I'm not really an
maybe.
expert on this. I'm more of an expert on the bullshit UFO shit that's going to come up in a minute. But no, we've reprocessed. This is Dr. Dave Clements.
Oh,
Of
he
the
does sound like he
Imperial
knows.
College. You're a doctor. You shouldn't be Dave, really. You should be Dr. David Clements.
Yeah, but he's looking at penguin poo. Like,
Good point.
call him Dave.
We've reprocessed the data, and we're pretty convinced that the phosphine finding is real. So that's making it sound a bit less likely. But we don't know what's making it. He went on to describe their challenges, saying it's very hard to measure and study because if you let oxygen in, it destroys it. We would really like to study the penguin guano to understand the biology. Is guano a posh word for a shit?
Oh my god, that's literally guano. I hope it is. That's a beautiful word.
But the best bit, it's quite hard for astronomers to get grant proposal to go and play with penguins. So we're trying to navigate through interdisciplinary fields.
Aww.
That's Dr. Dave
I
Clements.
can't imagine. Is an astronomer going to be like, yep, I've seen him. He's on Venus. Like, I don't understand what an astronomer's going to deal with.
I don't know.
This poor
To be honest,
penguin.
this is such a poorly written thing. What they really want to keep, because they bring it up so many times, they really want to just talk about the fact that the CIA has released this stuff about UFOs that didn't make anybody any the wiser. So they just keep bringing that up.
No, fair enough. Well, I really do. I mean, it would make sense. Penguins are kind of strange.
I mean,
Would that make sense? Sorry, I've realised that doesn't make sense at all.
what's the most likely animal to be a UFO?
To be a UFO or
Is
to
it
be
a
an
penguin?
alien?
Oh, an alien. Sorry, I used the word because I'm not a doctor. I'm not Dr.
Yeah,
Dave.
you're not
I'm
Dr.
just Dave.
David Clements.
I'm just Dave.
Can you be Dr. Guano?
Does that mean Dr. Shit?
Yeah. Guano's my new favourite word. Anyway,
Penguins are up there because they
penguins
don't
are-
make any sense at all.
yeah, penguins don't really make any sense, do they? What about those little fish that have a nice little light in front of them that are big and snappy?
Yeah, I think
They're
yeah,
cute. They
yeah.
look a bit alien.
I think all fish could
Or
be
jellyfish
aliens.
in general. They're a bit
Like, I think
weird
fish
looking.
is an easy go-to, though, isn't it? All fish look like aliens, really.
Yeah, I guess so.
I feel like we probably base what we think aliens look like on fish.
Probably.
We don't base. It would be wicked if, like, greys and stuff. Like like when UFO people write books about
Yeah.
how they've been taken into space. It'd be wicked if it was just a bunch of penguins.
Just loads of...
It'd be so good. It'd be so good. They were probing me up the arse, and I turned round. It was just a penguin, and he fell on his front.
Oh, they're so full
And
over.
slid.
He
Slid
just...
to the steering wheel, but he couldn't reach it with his little funny fins.
Oh.
Anyway, you didn't answer my question. What else? What else could be a UFO?
I think cats are a bit mad. I feel like cats must be aliens of some sort. Our one is. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, cats strike me as sort of having a greater intelligence than we give them credit for.
Well, and you know when they go a bit scatty in the night, not scatty literally, although our cat is a bit weird. But like,
she pooed on the chair the other day.
but she
Actually, she managed to vomit on the toilet seat, and it looked like someone had done massive diarrhea all up the wall. It was quite amazing.
it was awful.
Yeah, it was awful.
That
I'm
weird
still not
cat.
100% sure that it wasn't Siobhan's guano.
I was very unwell after Wotsit Called Fest. I didn't even know it was there, so I plead the fifth.
Yeah, well,
Um,
the person who had to scrub it off did.
Oh, but anyway, when cats go a bit weird and like just do random meows and go scatty in the night, do you think they're talking to? They might be just being communicated with
Yeah, that's
by
true.
aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only. That's it. Case closed. It's the
I'd like
only
to put one other
explanation.
creature forward.
Fair enough.
Libby Adame in her LAPD mugshot.
with her landslide of a mouth.
She definitely looks like
What
she
about
came
that
from
woman
outer
that
space.
from a few episodes ago that could fit her fist in her mouth?
Oh,
as
the
well?
woman with the world record holder for the biggest face.
Yeah. It was the biggest mouth, wasn't it? 'Cause she could fit about 5 fists in it. Or
She
something.
did look a bit like she could have come from.
She's got a
outer space.
landslide of a mouth as well.
Yeah, but no, because hers is quite taut. Like she could
that's
still
true.
use hers. This one looks like if she opened it, the bottom of her face would fall off. Really does. Like her jaw's not connected.
It does look like it's falling off now. Oh, poor bugger. Well, continuing somewhat the theme of injury that we had from earlier with the eel up the bum. Super Death Acceleration roller coaster shut down for literally breaking riders' bones. Multiple. I mean, I fucking hate roller coasters. I know I've said it. They're the worst. Why would you want your organs flying around inside you? Is that a good feeling? No, it's a horrible feeling. You can't eat any food before you go on it because you will be sick. Anyway, that's enough of my annoyance with roller coasters.
You're starting to sound like a boffin over there.
But this is what I fear would happen to me if I went on teacups. But it is actually, happening to people in Japan.
Right.
Multiple people have reported serious injuries after riding the Dodonpa. Fuck no, is that Fuji Q?
That
Highland
sounds like
Park?
Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop.
Dodonpa. The roller coaster in Japan, known for its super death acceleration to triple-digit speeds, was reportedly shut down after riders suffered serious bone fractures. At least 6 cases of fractures in total, including 4 in the back or in the neck. Cervical fractures, thoracic spine fractures, some people needing 3 months to recover.
Jesus Christ.
They
got what they were asking for death, surely. So, in some ways they got a flight.
They're calling it super death acceleration.
That's what I mean.
Like, you fucking idiots, don't go on it. It looks very pretty. Oh, there's a video that you can watch riding it.
No.
I haven't watched it yet because I don't want to be sick.
No, there isn't a video that I can watch.
The theme park bills the coaster as having the world's fastest acceleration, hitting 112 miles per hour in 1.56 seconds.
Jesus Christ. It must be like one of those
It's
things
like
that
a car
astronauts go on where they spin around and stuff.
You literally will be like you're in a car crash. Like,
Well, no, because
way
it doesn't
worse.
stop, though,
Yeah, true.
I guess.
But then you just get flung about. I mean, idiots who want to go on that thing. It's been shut down, so that's fine.
Has it been shut down? Did loads of it? Was it like really popular and everyone wanted to go on it?
I haven't seen how many people have had the fractures. There was 6. I think it said 6 cases or 10 cases altogether.
Good old Japan, though. It took 6 or 10
But yeah.
people to get fractured from a roller coaster before they shut it down.
The theme park made global headlines last year when it advised patrons to please scream inside your heart instead of out loud to help stop the spread of COVID.
That's fucking torture.
Yeah, please scream inside your heart. But when it comes
Isn't that
to
what you have to do if you're being waterboarded?
But when it comes to spine or neck fractures, however, the screams were likely to be much more audible. Jesus Christ.
There must be, like, a biological necessity for human beings to, like, if they're really that scared or if they're being, there's like a fight or flight response. We scream for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying this has anything to do with this, but it would be wonderful if in order to not spread COVID, people were not screaming and screaming in their hearts, and that was literally breaking their bones from
Yeah,
inside out.
I've broken my spine because I screamed inside my heart.
Maybe we should ask some boffins and see if that's possible.
Also, just to say, the name is an onomatopoeia reference to the sound of drums. So now I know that. Let me see if I can say this word again.
Say it as a drum. Be a drum. Be a drum. Pretend your heart is a drum.
Dodonpa.
No, I think it's probably dodonpa, isn't it? Like a roll on the drum.
Dodonpa. No, because there's definitely 3 do's in it.
Sounds like a paradiddle to me.
Dodon.
I don't really know what that is.
Dodonpa.
Dodonpa.
Yeah, maybe. Now you've done the hands.
You've got to get
No
your
one can
hands
see
involved.
this,
See,
but
if
now-
you try and do this in your heart, you can't do it. But if you let yourself move
Wait a minute,
around
one
a
second.
bit.
Let me just do it inside my heart. Yeah, I think I nailed it.
I thought your
I
heart
heard
was just
that.
going to stop then.
I heard it. Wait a minute, it's a bit like a
No, but it's not, because it's 4, isn't it?
dodonpa.
That's not how your heart goes, though.
Dodonpa.
Just because you're doing it on your
Dodonpa.
chest.
Yeah, I think I got it. I don't know. Drum sounds are used around the ride. There you go.
How was that for radio?
Oh, Christ. No one's ever going on that roller coaster again. Oh, actually, let me just double check that it is actually closed. Because if it's not closed, I mean, I've never been on a roller coaster that I've enjoyed, but now I'm kind of keen on going on this one.
No, can you imagine the amount of noise? You would not scream in the heart.
Never do. Oh, it's definitely shut down. Gosh darn it.
That's fine. Now, I'm going to return to a story that I continuously return to.
I had a feeling this was coming.
So I really wanted to leave this alone, but for those of you that listened to our podcast last episode, you'll know that we didn't do any of this news stuff. We had a special episode where we went back in time. Mm-hmm. Just a classic, thing
Just a
that you
classic
can do.
go back in time with a Timebot 500.
Yeah. And so we didn't have the news, and so that's given me a month's worth of Galactic Federation news
Oh, God.
to kind of get over. So if you've not been listening to this podcast or you haven't heard these news stories before, I'll give you a quick background. There's a lady called Elena Danaan. She's a former professional French archaeologist. They keep changing that name. She wasn't professional before. She was just an archaeologist. Anyway, former professional French archaeologist. She's getting messages from an alien friend whose name is Thorhan Aredion. He was at the Galactic Federation of Worlds meeting recently, along with Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and the other prick that went into
Bezos
space.
idiot.
And a load of other solar systems. They all got together around Jupiter somewhere. They had a big meeting to decide what was going to happen with the universe.
Yeah.
I won't say any more than that. If you'd like more details, I'm sure you don't, go back over a few of our other episodes. But Elena Danaan has come forth once more.
Good.
Not only has she come forth, there's only a fucking second source on the Jupiter meetings and Galactic Federation
There's someone
intervention
else.
in the solar system.
It's weird that the
name-
internet means that you can find other people that think these very sensible things as you. It's good,
Her
isn't it?
name is Megan Rose, and she is a registered nurse.
Oh, God, here we go.
So you can trust her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into her too much, but I will share a video of her being interviewed on our YouTube playlist.
Okay.
So it's about an hour and a half long, so I don't know why you'd want to listen to that. But Elena Danaan has also been interviewed.
Yes.
And having talked about her, sorry, she's not talking to me through a implant
sure?
in my head from when I was a 5-year-old. Having talked about her for a number of times, I would like you all to listen to this lady just talk. And one of the main reasons that I would like to play this clip is that there's I've not edited this in any way. There's the most incredible edit that is done by the guy who is interviewing her. His name is Michael Sala. He is also a doctor, but I refuse to call him Dr. Michael Sala in the way that he calls himself a lot. So here is Elena Danaan.
So a few days ago, it was a surprise. Thorhan contacted me by the implant, mind communication. And he said, I have something for you. It's very important. And this was coming from the
High Commander Adana.
and she's in charge of the military station of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And Thorhan dictated me by mind, by telepathy, this text. And I typed it. And the 10 sections, and I asked if I could now share what I was supposed to do with this. He said, no, now it is to be shared with the civilians of Terra. Share it with Michael. It is a gift for you and for him, and you will share it with the world. So here we are tonight.
That's lovely, isn't it?
That is so brilliant. Are you able to actually just play that tiny little bit again? Because
Sure, I probably
it just
can.
makes me laugh so much.
And this was coming from the
High Commander Adana.
But what I love about that is, she must have just said it really shit. So he was like, "Fuck that! I'm going to dub over that
So
because
yeah.
she said it wrong or something
I
silly."
cannot imagine.
can't think
Either that
why.
or she just said, she said a character from Star Wars or something, and he thought, they're not going to believe that. I better
Or
change it. But
I
even
wonder if they've changed the name since. And he's like, "Oh shit, we can't redo the interview, so I'll just say it." Fucking, I just love it.
So she goes on to explain. So the story is that the Galactic Federation of Worlds have released a 10-part Prime Directive. It's not interesting. I'm not going to go through it. As ever, bibliotecapleiades.net. get on there. Lots of David Icke this month. You're going to enjoy yourselves. But to give you a vague idea, not funny, but the first one is the Prime Directive is to serve as a moral, ethical guide and legal template. Number 2 is the Prime Directive is applicable to all cultures in any world that have not yet achieved interstellar travel capacity and have not established an organised continuous relationship with an evolved external interstellar culture.
Right.
So this woman's just swallowed a dictionary and written a load of nonsense. Why this is interesting to me, 2 things. One, she describes the fact that she wrote this down because Thorhan Eredion is in her head.
Via
He's
an
got
implant,
a thing in her head, so he can talk to her. So she jotted this down on her PC. But
very Moses-like of her.
very much. Very much. But the real version of this is not just written down, it's a sphere. And she keeps talking about this sphere. Again, I'll put this on the YouTube playlist, hour and a half of your life that you will never get back. And she keeps saying she couldn't quite describe exactly how it's a sphere, but it's a sphere. Anyhow, that's one thing I like. The best thing that I like is, so the guy that actually runs this website, which is called Exopolitics,
yeah,
which I would also highly recommend. I need to be very careful. I don't really recommend this.
Yeah, I was about to say, anyone who just flicks through this and hears you spouting all this stuff, like it's actually truth, or that you actually believe it, is going to be very concerned about you.
Yeah, well, fuck it.
You find such
fun,
glee in this. It's very nice.
So, Dr. Michael Sala, I refuse to call him a doctor. This is the guy that's interviewing all these people, and he's the one who runs exopolitics.org. I can only presume this is his job, because he does an awful lot. Anyhow, he's written something himself, comparing the prime directives of the Galactic Federation of Worlds with, ready, Star Trek.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But he comes to a very interesting conclusion.
Weirdly, didn't we watch something fairly recently that likened Star Trek to like what people genuinely believed was going to happen? Oh, I can't remember. It's Heaven's Gate, wasn't it? And they were watching Star Trek for like actual research purposes.
Yes.
And now there's this man who is... Sorry, that's a really off-topic thing. Look up Heaven's Gate, it's amazing. Oh, it's not amazing, it's awful. But,
we'll definitely do an episode of this podcast on Heaven's Gate.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But this is a man now calling himself a doctor and writing a paper on the comparisons between Star Trek, the very real thing that everyone seems to be referencing.
Yeah, I mean, to call it a paper might be pushing it. A blog.
He is a doctor.
A blog post.
Oh, a blog. Fair enough, take it all back.
So there's something interesting. Let me just do this quickly. And there's something interesting about Star Trek. I don't know much about Star Trek. But
there might be one good thing about Star Trek.
So he actually did a webinar. I don't really know what that is. A seminar on the web, I guess.
It is, exactly. That's how I get my e-learning. That's how I did my manual handling at work. Via webinar.
You should have gone on the Our Star Trek Future by Dr. Sala webinar.
Would have been far better than watching a man pick up a box.
You might have learned how to clear up a load of shit all over the back of the toilet if you go to that webinar. So he compares the prime directives, which, keep in mind, he believes 100% have come from a meeting that a bunch of aliens had on Jupiter.
And it's a sphere somewhere.
And it's in a sphere.
Yeah.
And his comparison of the prime directives that were actually made by aliens and the ones in the Star Trek series, he has decided they've definitely come from the same source. He's used science for that, right? So probably to everybody listening, you would say, yeah, obviously this woman who's come and said that her mate in her head has given her a load of prime directives from space. She's probably watched a lot of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Not so. The conclusion is that Gene Roddenberry and others associated with the Star Trek series had been given the actual text of the real prime directive, stored no less, as a holographic document by the Galactic Federation, and they released it back in the 60s and 70s in a fictionalised form.
Are they still alive today, and can they be interviewed?
So no, they're not. But here's the slightly interesting thing about Gene Roddenberry, who is the main person behind Star Trek. I don't think I've watched maybe one Star Trek film and a couple of Next Generation, so I'm not in any way knowledgeable about this. But I was reading a book, I think it might have been a John Higgs book, and Gene Roddenberry initially came up with Star Trek. The first series of Star Trek was a complete failure and was really boring and nothing happened. And the reason for that is that he had this idealised view of society that he genuinely believed if he made a TV show about, it might influence the world to turn more like that. Aww. And the idea of it was that everyone was completely accepting of everyone. There wasn't really any wars or any problems or anything.
Doesn't make for good telly,
it didn't make for very good telly, but the idea was that it was like, here's the ideal version of what our world should be like.
Yeah.
If this becomes really big and everybody sees this, it might start turning the wheels to change our own world into something like this. And like, because it was set in the future, the idea, he was quite a philosophical man.
Oh, this is lovely.
But what happened was the public at large watched it and said, that's bullshit. Boring. And so in the second...
We've had wars, we want more things like that!
In the second series, they had to be given, like, laser beams and stuff. So, weirdly enough, this crazy man... It's only just occurred to me, this crazy man is sort of basing this on something to some extent. But, let me be clear, this will be the last time I bring up this subject on this podcast.
Really?
Probably not, but we'll see.
Yeah,
but I want to be clear now, just in case it is. Star Trek was not given this 10-point Galactic Federation list of principles. And here is why.
Okay.
Because, according to the same person who made the fucking thing up, they only came up with it 2 weeks ago while Elon Musk was in space. So how the fuck did they get it in the 60s to make Star Trek, Dr. Sala, you fucking idiot?
That is very true.
So
and I feel like a doctor would work that out. But Dr. David Cullen...
Dr. Dave Cullen.
Cullen. Dr. Dave, the cool guy guano Cullen.
Oh, there's so many
Scene of the grime Cullen.
Can everybody just go on exopolitics.org for a bit and just look at some of the adverts? They're all by him and about things he's done.
Okay.
There's a coming alien false flag psyop. He's released a video, the film, sorry. Ooh. That's available on his Vimeo channel. It is called Fake News. I think that's what his Vimeo channel's called, which is weird. I don't know. This guy might be like a Discordian or something. I can't quite work it out.
Or he's like... trying to catch your bluff, be like fake news, but actually he's secretly sharing real news and calling it fake news.
Yeah, I mean,
he's very clever.
I guarantee if you look,
it's not that I believe it's real, by the way.
If you look even slightly below the surface, it's definitely just all racist. There is a new book release which is called Rise of the Red Dragon: Origins and Threat of China's Secret Space Program.
Oh dear!
So this prick's writing racist books as well. So this is the last time I bring him up. No.
You wait until someone talks to you about your implant in your head. See how you feel about it.
Hey, Thorhan is listening.
Quoting some sphere you've seen somewhere.
Up there in Jupiter, please get in my head and tell me what's going on.
Get in my head, Thorhan!
Talking about people hearing voices. Should we go up to Norfolk and find out what's going on up there?
That's funny you're talking about all this UFO nonsense, because that's not what this article's going to be about, but Norfolk has a very high level of UFO sightings, so I've heard, and I read on the EDP quite often.
Well, I think that's just because it's got a lot more...
You be careful what you say, boy. I see what you're about to try and fucking say.
Aliens, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's because it's very flat.
It's very flat, so you can land better.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm honest, that one in Independence Day was size of London.
So that would have been bigger than Norfolk.
Norfolk? No, it could have landed in Norfolk. It could have landed flat on top of Norfolk, and we'd have been all right. Well, we wouldn't have been all right. We'd have been squashed, but
well, only a couple of people.
But the alien,
you would have only missed. You would only probably lost that woman that was fighting with a crow a couple of episodes ago. outside a post office / pub. You
lose the jewel of the UK, David. Don't you even fucking start. Right. Anyway, that is not my.
Is that what you're going to call? Is Norfolk the jewel of the UK? Like Kent is the Garden of England.
What could it be called? And if you say toilet, I'm going to kick you in the head.
The flat Earth capital of the UK.
It probably is.
For 2 reasons.
It might be. I don't know. Well, actually, in fairness, people from Norfolk don't think outside of Norfolk, so we haven't considered whether the Earth's flat or not.
No, it is flat. That's
it is flat, and I don't care. I don't even know where all of Norfolk is yet, let alone what the whole world looks like. Not even a lie. Right, I've picked this because I like the title.
Okay.
Cobwebs launch crops at homes in bizarre attack. That's right, you heard cobwebs, and I'm going with it because I think cobwebs is going to catch on.
Corn of the cob.
Corn of the fucking cob,
They're
David.
throwing corn of the cobs at people.
A gang of thugs launched scores of veggies at homes after apparently nicking them from a nearby field. That is exactly what it says in this article. Neighbours
I
were
don't
left...
think nicking is journalistic.
In
I
North-
can't think of a word either, so they've outsmarted
You
me.
wait, because there's loads of fucking words they've added just to make this news. Neighbours were left shocked after being awoken by loud thuds as corn on the cob missiles slammed into doors and windows. And police are taking the bizarre attack very seriously, with extra patrols targeting the area in a bid to catch the cob yobbos.
Jesus Christ.
The attacks happened on Friday and Saturday night in New Manor Park Housing Estate in Sproston. If you've ever been to Sproston, that's going to be very upsetting for them.
I feel like Sproston is where a lot of these stories are
If
set.
you're Norfolk, you say Sproston, just saying, David.
Did I say it wrong?
Well, you did say it wrong. You said it how... Well, I guess you say it how the UK might say it, but...
The UK? Do I represent the...
Sproston is where, I'm pretty sure, Alan Partridge's fucking radio station was. Wasn't it Sproston?
Yeah, it could have been.
I feel like it is Sproston.
Yeah, probably.
Splatter marks could still be seen on the front of the homes last night, and I must say there are some pictures, and it is upsetting.
Does a corn of the cob make a splat?
Apparently, there's a little
They've
kernel.
got, I mean, it's presumably not been cooked. They didn't cook it first.
No, because they just dug it out of a field.
So surely it's more like getting a rock thrown. Not even a rock. Not a rock.
In fairness, and I don't know. I think they need to all wind the necks in a little bit because they don't look that bad. There's a little bit of a splat on a window with a little kernel, a little drip with a kernel at the bottom.
Jesus Christ. The only reason they've written this story is because cob and yob rhyme.
Definitely. They've spoken to someone called Mr. Starbuck, who lives in the
Is
area.
he from Buck Rogers?
Fuck knows. He's living in Manor Park. There have been a few things going on in this estate recently. There's always seeming to be something going on at Manor Park. It's a nice place to live, but there has been a real spike in antisocial behaviour.
It's a very strange thing to talk about things going on as being really negative, isn't it? God, there's always things going on. I wish we were all dead. Like, surely just things going on is a good thing. I love it when things go on.
That's nice. I do like it. But, well, would you like to hear what pensioner Marion Lamb says?
No, I'd love
Whose
to.
house was targeted? We just arrived home from holiday on Saturday to see this huge mess on our lounge window. I can only imagine what a shock that loud thud would have been when young children are present.
Oh my God.
Norfolk's
What do you
being
reckon?
terrorised
Where
by
do you
this
reckon they got
porn.
back? Where did they get back from holiday from?
Munsley, probably.
No, well, I was thinking like Mallorca or something.
She's a pensioner. She ain't gone far.
Munsley.
Munsley.
What would you have done in Munsley?
Get on a caravan, had a cup of tea and come home.
There must be more. She's
So-
been there. She's gone on holiday. What else
She
would
might
you
have
do
gone
in
to
Munsley?
Wells on Sea, or I don't know. She might have gone to up to Cromer, and
doesn't
eaten some
sound-
crab and had some cream tea.
Doesn't sound like there's much going on in her fucking
Sheringham,
life either.
Sheringham for a bike ride, if her little legs can manage it. Oi, my nan's a pensioner and she can fucking still ride. She goes and gets her sausages from the shop in Baldwell.
Is this your nan that has a book where she clocks cats in and out of her house?
Yeah, and my nan who found a crowbar on her cycle home and kept it.
For what?
I don't know.
In case she met the cob
We
yobs.
went round her house one day and she went, "Oh, I found this on my cycle home from the shop." I was like, "That's a crowbar, Nan." She goes, "Yeah." Well, where'd you get it? I don't know. Thought I'd pick it up and bring it home. Good. So she can fend off the corn yobbos when they or the cob yobbos when they turn up.
How did she carry it? In a basket?
She's got a basket.
It's very awkward. Crowbar's not an easy thing to on a bike. She must have just held it in her hand.
She probably cycled home
if
with
she
it
had
in her
like
hand.
a backpack, she could have put it across the back, so she'd look like a lunatic. Look like a baseball fury.
In fairness, my nan does look like a lunatic. She's about 4'8". All she's got in her basket is sausages and a crowbar. And a little book where she logs in the cats. None of those cats are hers. Anyway, this ain't about my nan stealing the neighbourhood cats. This is about cob yobbos and how fucking serious it is. Oh, don't worry. Town Councillor Bill Cousins is on the case and he's got quite a face. He's on the... Sorry, that's not even...
Does he look like he's come from outer space as well?
He added, the actual core of the corn on the cob is really quite hard, so it can't have been very nice at all.
Oh, I mean, that sounds like the most
Well
sensible
done,
voice of the
town
lot. in
councillor.
fairness.
I'm glad the people of Manaway salute you.
I mean,
Wow.
that sentence does say, "I don't really give a fuck." but I'm going to have to say something that sounds caring.
I can't believe I'm getting fucking interviewed about corn on the cob smashing a window in a pensioner's house. Well, you can't even... Young'uns in Sproston can't even have fun digging stuff up out of a field and throwing it at someone's house anymore.
It doesn't seem like a news story.
It is Norfolk, and that's why I do this subject. That's exactly the point, David. Doesn't seem like news, does it? But that's Norfolk. Oh, we love it. Right, well, I'm going to wrap up Norfolk news there, I reckon, and move on to a song. I might just... oh, look, I can talk normally again. Actually, I'm pretty much the same. That's all gone wrong. So... this next song is from a band called Shackleford, and the song is Rhetoric. They're from the Heartlands. Now, guys, just want to say this now. Where's the Heartlands? Because everywhere we looked up where you're from, it just says Heartlands. And when I look it up, I don't actually know where that is. Is it Birmingham? Is it Derbyshire?
We had a conversation before we started about where the Heartlands were, and we had both respectively looked it up on the I was going to say on the Google.
On the
like your nan.
Yeah.
We'd looked it up on the internet, and we both came to the conclusion that it was completely different places. I thought it was Alabama in America initially, but then I worked out that it said something like between Swindon and Cambridge, something. And then you said it was Cornwall.
Well, there's a mining something or other in Cornwall called Heartlands, but I don't think that's this one.
I think you might have even mentioned Norfolk at one point.
Well, yeah. Well, Cambridge is on the edge of Norfolk. Cambridgeshire is just next to Norfolk.
Well, maybe you should do it in your Norfolk accent then.
I don't think anyone want any more none of this. What? Let's get rid of that. Right. So, it's from their self-titled debut album, which is out now via a few places, via Side Mission Records, Mudcake Records in Europe, and on cassette via Cat's Claw. So, yeah, this is Shackleford with Rhetoric.
I'm running from my shadows. You're hoping to meet you there. But is it any wonder why I'm failing? Couldn't even look you in the eye. I don't want you, but I don't want to let you go. It's how the talk is dead the tide. Never asked why, didn't even try. There's always pain when lust disappears. But is it any wonder why I'm failing? Couldn't even look you in the eye. I don't want you, but I don't want to let you go. It's how the talk is dead the tide. Never asked why, didn't even try. Never asked why, didn't even try. Would it be easier if I just say goodbye? Never asked why, too late to try.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Bunks podcast. We're now going to move on to our main topic of this episode, which is Wotsit Called Fest 2021, which took place over the weekend just gone, as far as we're concerned right now. But if you maybe listen to this in the future, it was the 24th to the 26th of September. If this is the first time that you're listening to this podcast, I just want to apologise a little bit because this is going to be a bit rough. We normally do quite a lot of research and put a lot of thought into our episodes, but this one, the only research we did was going and getting drunk for 4 days on the trot. Yeah. And we're just going to try and remember what happened. We're just going to wing this, really. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a bit of a loose episode. Lots of name dropping and some very nice bands for you to go and look up. That's pretty much going to be the gist of this, I reckon. Indeed. But in a nice way. And probably some, incriminating stories. Mostly incriminating about you, if we're honest. This is probably the first festival since any of the lockdowns that I've attended. Yeah. And definitely the most attended thing that I've been to since. Yeah. And people from all over the country came, which was lovely. It was a proper Friends Fest. I think as well it's weird, isn't it? Because it's in our hometown. Yeah. So I suppose that's the other thing. It feels special no matter what. Yeah. I guess, just because, loads of people came to Hastings. Yeah, exactly. And loads of bands came to Hastings. Yeah, and, tons of bands came to Hastings. Yeah. So it was a wonderful, wonderful thing. I still feel very warm and fuzzy and slightly croaky and really fucking unwell. I should say as well, we're recording this podcast 2 days after. Yeah. And we are COVID free. We are definitely COVID free. We've done quite a few tests, but there's some shitty cold that went round pretty much on the first day. I don't think it's even, probably, but it's not even a cold. I think it's just that thing where you're so hungover that by Tuesday or Wednesday the next week you still feel quite unusual. Yeah, and collectively, from the people that I've spoken to since, there's quite a lot of rough feeling people today with no voices, having to go to their very actual proper jobs and speak in meetings. Well, not to go all black flag on you, but Haste, considering 3 of us put it on and we were obviously all there. Yeah, we had a fucking band practice last night, so that's the reason that I'm croaky. I think more than Wotsit Called Fest, probably, and maybe it was YMCA. We'll get to that. So we're just going to work through the days really and just talk about whatever comes up, I think. Yeah, see how it goes. Let me talk about what Wotsit Called Fest is, just in case we do have a couple of people listening overseas. No, yeah, overseas listeners, listening from far away. So let me tell you what it is. This is the 5th Wotsit Called Fest. 2021 was. It was supposed to be the 5th one, 2020, but obviously it got cancelled because of COVID. I've been a part of promoting it since the 3rd one. I think my band played it on the 2nd one. Yeah. Yeah. We actually weirdly moved to Hastings on the day, or possibly the day after the first ever Wotsit Called Fest. Yeah. So we celebrated our 5-year Hastings anniversary. Yeah. During this weekend. Yeah, we did. So we've literally been in this town for the exact same amount of time that Wotsit Called Fest has been running. Like I say, I help organise it along with Dan Flanagan, Mark Tanner and Kathy Butler, and we also put on regular gigs down here in Hastings, or we did before the pandemic, I suppose. And we have started up again. We must have mentioned this on the podcast, but a month ago, we put Snuff on down here. We've got a few more lined up for the rest of the year. Incisions are coming down for the Kiss tribute band Snogs after party. Oh, of course. Unofficial. And we're also putting Culture Shock on in December. Yep, and announced yesterday. Well, yesterday. It's not going to make any sense now. Whenever you're listening to this, but announced very recently, Mr. Timothy Loud will be coming to grace our presence. Indeed. Grace our presence. Grace us with his presence once again. Yes. That's what I mean. Along with Jason Sterling and Nana. Yay! So that's going to be fucking great as well. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that, if you're from Hastings or you want to do what an awful lot of people did this weekend, which is come down to Hastings and have a fucking banging weekend by the seaside, then follow Toxic Wotsit on all of our various social medias and what have you. Definitely do. And again, I've said this on the podcast many times, but we also run a record label, so buy some records and a distro. We've got lots of really nice, good things.
loads of good things now, especially after this weekend. You seem to have.
I know Haste's third
added
EP did come out, didn't
That
it?
is definitely where that was going.
Whoa!
Whoops! No, I saw a lot of things got added to the distro over the weekend, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of those bands.
Indeed. So for the past couple of Wotsit Called Fest, we've done something on the Thursday night, and last time, I'm probably, from now on, if I say last year, I obviously don't mean last
You mean
year, I mean 2 years ago,
2019,
because I'm definitely
yeah.
just going to say that now.
Yeah.
So last year we did a gig, which we put on in a basement of a venue called Whistle Trago, which is in the old town of Hastings, and they've just got this tiny little room which fits about 50 people. Gigs down there are always crazy. So we had planned to do another one of them this year, but they haven't actually properly opened that part of the venue yet. So we had it at the same place which the rest of it happened at, which is the Pig, which is where Wotsit Called Fests 2 and 3 happened.
Yes.
It was called something different, but it's the same building. And then we went off to Crowley's for last year, and now we're back at the Pig again.
Yeah.
The place has literally just been taken over by the guys that were running Crowley's, and so they've done a really amazing job of actually like getting it in any way ready.
I mean, they got it together pretty much in the week leading up to it. It was amazing how quickly it all got sorted. So
And prior
big
to
thanks.
that, like the Snuff gig that we put on, which again was almost like I suppose a dry run for this
that's
like
true,
bigger
yeah.
event. Like they managed to get all of that together. They did some really nice food, although I didn't actually manage to eat any of it.
No,
but they put on
annoyingly
like
not.
vegan options and all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully everybody enjoyed that.
And the Wotsit Called Fest cocktails were back, and I must say, Mackie, well done. You pretty much made every single cocktail, and they were stunning. You looked like you'd made every single cocktail by Sunday morning. You poor thing, but absolutely outstanding work.
I really
Can't
hope-
believe you did so many cocktails.
I hope you actually counted how many cocktails you made.
I hope
To
you
Mackie,
didn't.
not you. You didn't
Oh,
make
me?
any. You
I didn't
drank
make any.
loads. No, I mean Mackie. Sorry, I'm talking to the audience.
I'm talking to the audience. I'm talking right to you, Mackie. Yeah.
So let's start on Thursday with the pre-gig.
Yes.
Not an official part of Wotsit Called Fest.
Yes.
The pre-gig was initially supposed to be,
Yeah.
like I say, it was supposed to be in a basement. That fell through, so we moved the venue. It was supposed to be Nosebleed,
Yeah.
Bitter Man,
Yeah.
both of whom we've played on this podcast,
Yeah.
and a new band from Hastings called Comeback Clit.
Yeah, so it did start with some sadness because our poor drummer, Annie, got the COVID, 5 days before?
Something like that,
5 days before, and it was due to be our first, like, proper gig, as it were, in front of that many people and in Hastings. But it wasn't to be. Someone knew that we'd only written a 10-minute long set, and therefore we were cursed. And so poor Annie had to stay home and be ill.
Someone
So-
new? What do you mean someone new? You mean like God?
Someone in the ether. I'm just going with the like
The universe.
the universe. I'm not naming anyone, but yeah, something out there knew that we really hadn't prepared that much.
Maybe it was Thorhan Iridian.
Thorhan told that fucking woman with her implant.
No,
that
he
she
told
was
the Galactic
interfered.
Federation that you had turned up with only a 10-minute set.
And then they cursed Annie with COVID.
Yeah.
Harsh.
They do
I don't
that,
really like
the
this
Galactic
guy.
Federation.
I thought they might be all right, and now I'm off them. But anyway, so Comeback Clit unfortunately didn't get to play. We did, weirdly, sell shitloads of T-shirts prior to it. So some people were still wearing the Comeback Clit T-shirts over the weekend. We're very grateful, and it was just a lovely, warm, fuzzy feeling to see all that. And also the wonderful Kate Bruce, who is a good friend and an artist here in Hastings, created us a wearable vagina with our name on it. So that got a good airing, as it were.
It did
at
get
the
a very
festival.
good airing, yeah.
So I felt like in a weird way there was some Comeback Clit presence at this festival, even though we didn't play a single song.
I would say that vagina was a lot of Comeback Clit presence, because I haven't seen anybody share any photos from the weekend that doesn't involve at least one person wearing it.
Our collective vagina is filthy right
Yeah, I
now.
can imagine.
It needs a good wash.
It might be worth shouting out, Kate Bruce has in previous years, not always I think for Wotsit Called Fest, but definitely one year was Wotsit Called Fest, she's made all sorts of different things. I
Yeah.
think the first one she made a vagina for the Tubman, which was
Yeah.
the venue that the very first, like I say, we weren't there, but it had like a porthole
Yeah.
between the bar and the stage, and so she put a vagina over it so people could stage dive through the
And
vagina.
do you know what it was for? It was for her birthday, and it was her
Oh.
rebirth.
Ah.
So she made a massive vagina that people just kept jumping through.
And then she made a bumhole for, was it the
Revenge,
last one? Or Revenge's last Tastings gig, maybe?
Yeah, it might have been, which would have been a Wotsit Called Fest, I think,
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
yeah.
And a big bum hole on stage that people had to
So
jump through.
you could stage dive through a bumhole.
Yeah, and
This
now
is-
we've got our very own wearable vagina. It's amazing.
I don't think you'd want anyone to stage dive through it though. It's more of a head.
No, it's a headpiece.
It's a headpiece. You can stage dive with it on, I guess.
Oh, and many people crowd surf with it on.
Yes,
thanks
thanks
to all those beautiful people as well. It was a really... Anyway, we have talked about a band that didn't play, so we should probably talk about some bands that did play. So thankfully, it wouldn't be a Wotsit Called Fest without this band taking a last-minute space to fill out the gaps of when bands pull out. So the wonderful Butane Regulators took our space, and I don't think they've not played a Wotsit Called Fest yet. I think they've played everyone.
I'm not totally
But
sure.
they haven't been booked for everyone, but when it comes to it, they do play everyone.
Well, no, last year they played the pre-gig again, and then someone pulled out for the main thing, so they played the next day as well.
That's it.
Butane Regulators are always fucking brilliant.
Yeah, they're so
and it
brilliant.
is a great way to start off. It was really sad that Comeback Click couldn't play, obviously, but I mean, I can't think of anybody better to really
Take the place. Yeah, and we love... Butane are always a great people to see. I never get tired of watching them. So I was obviously sad, but very pleased that they're the people that we got to see instead.
Yep, so next up was Bitter Man from Portsmouth, who, like I say, we did play a song from on this podcast at some point.
Yeah, a few podcasts ago. I can't remember when.
Off of their really awesome second CD EP.
Yeah.
It's sort of a mini album thing. The first one's fucking great as well. Bitter Man, I absolutely love. They sound like a 90s metal band.
Yeah.
Which
trudgy,
I should say,
kind of study stuff. I liked it.
Since the last time you've seen Bitter Man, you've really got into trudgy 90s
I love
metal.
it.
What
I
did you
went
make
to
of them this time?
literally because Dave made me a quadruple album called Metal Mayhem, and it's just basically 90s thuddy metal, and I'm really, really into it now.
I can't remember how you describe John Bush era Anthrax.
Oh, like some kind of like weird cowboy
rap.
rock.
Yeah,
cowboy
rap
country
or
rock, cowboy rap metal rock, which turns out might be my favourite genre of music ever, along with Rob Zombie. I think that's...
Let's not anchor Bitter Man with Rob Zombie's corpse.
No, of course not. I don't mean it like that. But that's kind of where I'm coming at the minute. I'm just loving hearing some thumping metal, and so Bitter Man really ticked that box.
So then, headlining that first day is the wonderful Nosebleed, that we probably don't need to say that much about. We've played them on this podcast as well, and they're fucking brilliant.
Yeah, proper garage rock beautifulness.
Yeah,
and they always do a really bloody good show.
They pulled out all the stops. The last Wotsit Called Fest that they played, if you haven't seen them before, Nosebleed always come out, or Elliot and Ben come out into the audience and sort of play their guitars and sing in the audience. And last year, Elliot was waterboarded by someone with a full can of beer.
Yeah,
so,
poured a full pint onto his face as he was bending backwards playing his guitar like a proper rock star, and then someone just poured a whole pint on his face.
It was fucking brilliant.
Well, I don't think Elliot thought it was that brilliant.
No, I'm sure
it made for a very good photo.
There's a brilliant photo of that.
So as much as it caused him some misery, it's a very good photo. So maybe you should just get over it.
But yeah, Elliot.
Yeah.
So that was the Thursday.
It was very good. Very good Thursday.
So Friday morning, Siobhan, how was the hangover?
Hangover level? Actually, my hangover, pretty non-existent. I was very ill from having a cold. I still went to the gym. I would say my hangover level was a 4 out of 10. Thankfully, because I drank a bottle of red wine for the soothing effects on the throat. Warm and thick was what I was aiming for. That's a horrible thing to say, but that is exactly why I drank red wine.
Yeah. Well, I feel a little bit like you've taken credit for my idea, because I had planned to only drink wine for this entire weekend.
Sorry, can I also add, you had planned to be straight edge last week, and then it immediately went wrong, and now your plans are more revolved around just drinking red wine.
Yeah, I was true till Thursday.
True till Thursday. Please, can that be a song?
Yeah. I actually drank a bottle of wine on Thursday, and I was also... It worked.
Yeah.
Nicely drunk.
Nicely drunk.
Not too drunk. Nice as well. Nice drunk.
Yeah, warm and fuzzy.
Warm and fuzzy drunk, and then I woke up and I was fine. And I went for a run the next day.
Yeah, look at us.
But yeah, it didn't,
Yeah, that was the last physical activity we did.
We're not saying any of this to try and boast. We're just getting prepared for what then.
Yeah, I think it was more like
future mornings.
Let's try and stay as well as possible. And Friday was the only opportunity. I thought that's the only time. The rest of the weekend's going to be a write-off, as we soon find out.
So then we got into Friday.
Yes.
Friday was the first proper day of Wotsit Called Fest. It's obviously always shorter. We just do it in the evening. But this year we did 6 bands.
I was about to say, you say shorter, but it did start at 6:30. So, I mean, that's pretty good for a Friday gig. And it was full from the beginning. It didn't look like all of a sudden people just turned up and it was full from the beginning.
A little peep behind the curtain of what it feels like to put gigs on if you have never done it before.
Yeah.
If you do book a band to start playing at, I think it was 6:50.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest of ideas.
Yeah.
And if there's not really anyone there by about 6:30, you do sort of lose your mind.
Yeah.
And you do sort of get a bit worried. But of course, all of the amazing, lovely people from Wotsit Called Fest, as they did on every day, all arrived on time.
Bang on time.
I will say...
bang on time. Like 6:45, no one there.
Exactly.
6:50, everyone turned up.
And in those 5 minutes, we had to put on about 100 wristbands.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that wasn't ideal, but that's not a complaint. So the first band who played was Riviera Kid from Kent.
Yep.
And we've also played them on the podcast. It's going to get boring if I say that. Almost all of these bands
I think we've played every single one of these bands that are playing.
And... fucking brilliant band.
They were
brilliant
amazing.
set, really good.
I've not seen Riviera Kid before, but I know I've spoken to them because they're a big fan of the podcast, I think. No, I'm just outing you as a fan of the podcast. Sorry, you're always commenting and you're always really nice. So, yeah, I feel like we've had a social media connection.
Yes.
But it was actually amazing to see you guys in... Sorry, I'm directing it straight at them. Riviera Kid, it was great to see you guys. But it really was. It was. They were a really great opening for the Friday. It was great to see them.
Yeah, it was perfect. And like I say, it was brilliant. It was an amazing thing. I've never seen that many people get to a gig for 6:50.
Yeah,
like ever.
No.
So that was fucking great.
Yeah.
And next up was the Sewer Cats.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it, who we've played on this podcast.
Oh yeah,
Sewer Cats are fucking brilliant and were fucking brilliant. And I think those two bands, one after the other, was just a really, really great way to start on Friday. To be honest, neither of them are like straight up punk bands in any way, not at all. And obviously, I say that completely in complimentary way. And I think it was a really interesting way to start what is ostensibly a punk festival with two bands that don't really sound like anybody else.
Yeah, I would completely agree.
And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love the Sewer Cats. I think it's actually only the second other time that I've seen them, and they will chew your ear off about cats, and I mean that in the nicest way. I shared so many pictures of our cat with Cass, and saw so many pictures of their cat. It was so good. So if you want like joyous, beautiful pictures of cats, Sewer Cats are your band, as well as them being fucking amazing as well. But yeah, love the Sewer Cats. I can't wait to watch them again and again and again. They are another band that will just never be boring.
Another band that will never be boring.
Yes.
Knife Club.
And the first time I've seen Knife Club as well.
First time I've seen Knife Club.
Well, I guess to say that Knife Club got together, just pre-pandemic kicking off?
Yes.
And then they had gigs booked just before the pandemic started, I think the April, and then it all got cancelled, and they never got to do their first gig until a few weeks ago.
Yep. Just to say that Knife Club are a superb band.
Very clever.
Made up of members from Revenge of the Psychotronic Man and Nosebleed and Casual Nausea and Haste and Matilda Scoundrels and Faintest Idea and The Barracks currently, and which would also be a second Haste. And
I think that might be it. Is that everyone? Oh, I feel bad if we forgot anyone, but that is a lot of people.
I apologise. Mouse Brass.
Hey, you're just naming all the bands. Everyone, I love it. Technically Christmas.
Christmas? Oh yeah, that's true. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
You're blowing our beans earlier.
I know. People went mental.
Yeah.
Lots of crowd surfing. I think every single member of that band was crowd surfed at some point.
Yeah. If you want a vague idea of what this festival was like, just look at the sort of 6 or 7 pictures that, or it'll probably be more by the time this comes out, but if you can find Mark Richards' original post of just a few of the Knife Club shots he got, it was just that was what it looked. That's what it was like.
Pure joy. Loved it. So yeah, well worth the wait. And and another band that we have played on this podcast.
Yes, indeed. Do you know next one we haven't played on the podcast?
No, we haven't.
Although we have played some of James's other bands.
Oh yeah, true.
So and that is the Domestics.
Yes.
Who, again, I'm sure don't really need a great deal of introduction. But as ever, and as always, Domestics were fucking banging.
Yeah, I think they were the first through and through proper punk, weren't they?
Yeah.
Just saying that the other bands we've mentioned are all very eclectic sounding.
Yeah.
Domestics are like just hardcore, proper, shouty, shouty, shout.
And I think that, actually, just looking through the whole bill of Friday, because next up is Children, who are like fucking rave punk.
Yes.
And after that is Two Sick Monkeys, who I suppose you could say are a pretty straight up punk band, but they definitely don't sound much like one.
No, it's true. It's very true. Children were amazing as always. For those who haven't seen or heard them, go and educate yourself very quickly, because they're just there's nothing quite like a Children rave punk performance.
No.
Awesome.
And I think the same goes to Two Sick Monkeys, really. There's not really anything like Two Sick Monkeys either. Two Sick Monkeys were a replacement. We had the Restarts originally as the headliners, and they had to pull out about a month before. Two Sick Monkeys, officially speaking, although I don't know how official this is really, they've sort of broken up, but they're continuing to play every now and again. And I think this must be their first gig back after lockdown.
Yeah, it must be.
And they hadn't missed a beat.
They were amazing. They also did Restart's Nod as well.
They did.
I believe they changed the lyrics to get something about another cider rather than outsider.
That's
but I
right.
didn't catch that because I was just singing along to the words that I thought I could hear.
Was your hangover on Saturday morning amazing? Did you get up early and go to the gym and do all the healthy stuff that you'd done the day before?
Definitely did not get up early and go to the gym. Saturday morning's hangover. I'm starting to get better off of this cold, but it does mean I'm drinking more, and so the hangover has gotten worse. And that's when the cocktail started on the Friday. So Saturday's hangover was pretty Wotsit Called Fest.
You could argue
cocktail
that was the point when you stopped drinking the wine that was keeping you well. You could describe what you just described in a completely different way.
Well, one way would credit you too highly with your red wine drinking only method. I do remember that Saturday's hangover was remedied by a Morrison's full English breakfast, which was the fucking worst experience of my life.
I completely forgot. I think I must have still been drunk. Yeah.
Oh.
It was absolutely terrible.
Well, just because it was like, what's the quick... We were running a bit late to get to the venue on Saturday morning because it started early. And so we were like, you know what, Morrison's is basically a canteen. Let's just run in there and get a breakfast.
We were basically looking for a vegan breakfast that was cheap and wasn't Wetherspoons.
Yeah.
And so that was like...
And then I'll walk in.
Yeah, no effort.
Yeah.
Basically.
Zero effort, please. And it was a fucking disaster. But it did...
Let's describe let's review the Morrison's. The breakfast itself was all right.
Yeah,
it was
the
a bit
breakfast
sad.
experience.
It had some of the most amazing mushrooms I've ever seen. Fucking ginormous
huge.
mushrooms that were really like thick in a way that I've never really
They
known a
soaked up
mushroom
so
to
much
be.
oil
Yeah.
in the nicest way.
Yeah, they were actually really
I was really
good.
gagging for that much like dirty oil that morning.
But there's a film. I think it's like some really shit comedy film, and there's a couple that are just found out that they're pregnant, and they go to the cinema. And they're sitting in the front row of the cinema, and behind them is just everybody has got babies that are screaming, and they're sitting and trying and watching the film. I don't know how famous of a scene it is, but I think it's like a well-known like Hollywood comedy film.
Oh, right.
Couldn't tell you what it is at all.
Yeah.
And being in the Morrison's Cafe on Saturday morning felt a little bit like that if you replaced 50% of those screaming babies with screaming old people.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. It was a good reminder that I never want to have children and I don't want to get old. It was either children screaming, or I remember hearing an old woman shouting at another person, and then I bumped my elbow and there's this bruise and it ain't gone away. And then she just went on and on about how her skin integrity was bad, and I just thought, yeah, I don't want to do that.
You don't want to bump your elbow.
I don't want to get old.
Yeah, it was a complete nightmare.
So the hangover felt like... it didn't feel that bad, but it was definitely amplified when we got to that Morrison's.
I think worse still was the fact that when I ordered and paid, and then the man said it will be 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It was just like this. I was like, oh my fucking life.
A child
like,
screamed on cue.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
So-
How was your hangover on a Saturday morning?
Well, I will say the Morrison's breakfast helped it. So
Yeah.
my plan, I'd planned it out.
Yeah.
I bought 3 bottles of red wine. I was going to have one a night. Accepted that Saturday might get a bit out of hand,
Yeah.
but Friday shouldn't have. When I got there on Saturday, I only had about half a bottle left, so I must have done a bottle and a half. I was feeling a little bit rough
A little bit rough.
on Saturday.
Feeling a bit rough.
The idea of playing a gig and being at a gig for 13 bands.
You also had the issue of stuffing yourself with breakfast and then having to play 2 hours later.
Yeah, that wasn't
Which
great.
never goes down that
So
well.
I normally don't eat if I'm going to sing for quite a while beforehand,
Yeah.
probably just for not really good reasons. But I tell myself it's because to make sure that I don't just vomit as soon as I start shouting.
Dave is an energetic shouter.
And I didn't keep up with that because I had to have a breakfast because I felt so rough because I'd obviously just gone off
Yeah.
poos the night before.
But did you good. And so then we were ready for the Saturday, and the first band playing on Saturday was a Tester.
Mm-hmm.
They were absolutely amazing. It is their first gig finally, because
it's their first gig in a venue. You played with them.
True,
in
I did keep
practice
underplaying this. We had an amazing time in their practice room where they had their first showing, and they invited us along so that we could have ours, and that was really good. But then COVID happened, other things happened, and they had to cancel all their other gigs. Their first gig was meant to be with Discharge, which would have been amazing. But this ended up being their first gig, and they were fucking awesome. They were really good, and I think it was a really brilliant way to open the Saturday.
And the Tester are another superb group who are made up of members of, and I'm not going to know them all, Barracks, Watch Cries. I know that Darren's been in loads of bands from many years ago. And they're also a band that we've played on this podcast.
Indeed.
And talking about bands we've played on this podcast, oh Jesus, I'm just looking up this list. Right, I'm not going to say it anymore.
Stop saying it.
Because they've all been played.
Pretty much.
Next band is Rabies Babies.
Yay!
Who were fucking brilliant.
They were so cool.
And again, I should say, this has all started at, 1?
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock was the first band. And again,
full from the beginning.
Hastings and assorted people from around the country that came to Hastings for the weekend. You did yourself so proud.
You did still turn up 5 minutes before again. So
Yeah.
we really do need to address that. We know you're coming, but
most of
you
them
make us
had
feel like you're
wristbands
not.
from the night before,
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
true.
fine. But yeah, it definitely is. Again, if you want to peek behind the curtain and anyone's thinking to themselves, I might put on a festival, don't start it at 1. Not unless it's like you live in the keenest town ever. Start it at 3. Say it's starting at 1 and start it at 3 or 4.
Yeah. But it worked out.
But
perfect.
it did. It worked out amazing. And Rabies Babies, because I was really worried because a Tester had come a little way. They were from Brighton. Rabies Babies had come from London. The next band, Top Left Club, had also come from Brighton, and it was they were playing really early.
Yeah.
And so I was worried that it would be horrible if the room was going to be empty, and I can't remember who it was, so apologies if you're listening. But I definitely had a conversation with somebody from one of those bands who said, "Oh, we were literally expecting to play to 10 people."
Yeah.
So, and it was just great. The audience was so attentive to everybody from the start. So yeah. But anyway, Rabies Babies, one of my bands of the festival.
Yeah, they were absolutely wonderful. Complete joy. They said at the beginning, by the end of our set, we want to put smiles on all your faces. I think I had a smile from the absolute very beginning. They were just they were just pure joy. Even though some of what they're singing about wasn't joyous at all.
No, of course.
Which is the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were just absolute pure joy.
And they had incredible hats.
They had light up octopus hats. Yay! And then after them, we had Top Left Club, which, what genre do they play, David?
Well,
tracksuit, synth, garage rock. I'm going with that because I think that might be what it is.
Yeah, it's not far off. I would say they sound like a merge of all of the various bands that the members of the Markmen, including the band the Markmen, have kind of put together since the Markmen more or less didn't break up.
And in fairness, that might be quite an accurate representation of this band generally, because isn't it members of Rotten Foxes and members of Skinny Milk?
Yeah.
Who are
nothing to do with the Markmen, yeah.
No, but kind of that nice echoey garage punk beautifulness.
Yeah. I suppose you could argue, mixing those two sounds together makes this band just right.
Yeah.
But yeah, those tracksuits, I don't know how the fuck. So these, again, sorry for anyone who wasn't there, these guys play in full shell suits.
Full, wrists
thick.
and
they
cuffs.
almost look like skiing outfits.
Yeah.
I think they're thicker than even a shell suit, and I just don't know how the fuck.
Yeah, they're proper, maybe 90s, 80s kind of tracksuits, and they're just proper plasticky nylon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be the hottest thing in the entire
The drummer
world.
looked like a bucket of water had been poured on him at one point. The poor man. I don't know how he managed it.
It must be like being in fucking Goa. You know what I mean? But just without
just in
quite so much
prosthetics.
stuff on top of you. Less obvious.
It's
a less
true.
obvious version of being in Goa.
I massively appreciate and adored the kind of Devo-esque robotic movements that Jimmy Diamond was doing at the front as well. And I specifically appreciated them even more because he had a really straight face doing it, but every now and then he had a mate that was just to his left at the front, and he kept breaking and just having a right little giggle. Made me laugh. It's a no-brainer.
We played them on the podcast before. You'll know what they sound like.
Yeah. The next band was Haste.
We haven't played them on the podcast.
We haven't
before.
played. You refused to play your own band on this
That's
podcast.
weird, isn't it? Why would you do it?
Well, I don't think you can really describe Haste unless you want to describe how you felt playing.
No, well, yeah. It was a fucking brilliant. It was really good fun gig to play.
Yeah.
Again, the audience was just lovely.
Yeah.
And I suppose we've played quite a lot since lockdown, whatever period we're in at the moment, where COVID
post-COVID, except we're still here.
And I think it was we've had some really good ones too. Since I mean, I think people are hungry for gigs, but this was definitely. I think it's something about playing in in the venue, to like loads, all friends, or more or less all friends, and like. It was just lovely.
Well, I'll say, I mean, I thought it was the best. There was some. We'll get on to what actually happened in the gig, but I think it was one of the best times I've ever seen you guys play.
What happened?
Well, we'll get to it. And also, I think yes, it was a room full of friends, but I think tons of people are fans of you guys, so it was a very nice sing-along moments at various times. Two things, you got your Wall of Death going again. That's going to be a thing, I guess.
I think, it depends. We might not be able to do that if we're playing like a pub with sort of four-seated. Yeah, exactly.
But I loved it, and people were just kind of singing and dancing in the middle of a Wall of Death.
I think it was more. I think it was more of a wall of fun. Yeah. Because
just run at each other and tell each other you're really happy.
I've never seen such a smile. Well, I think people smile in a Wall of Death.
Yeah.
I don't know why. What a bunch of knobs. We take Wall of Death from these fucking macho hardcore pricks, and then like loads of cool bands just do it, and we still call it a Wall of Death. Let's not call it a Wall of Death. Let's call
Wall
it
of Love.
Wall of Love. Yeah.
Wall of Love. The other thing that happened was at the beginning of one of your songs that's pretty... I mean, they're all about quite severe subjects, but it was Distrusted Uniforms, wasn't it? Because I actually know the name of that song. Because you made a lovely video for it.
The song's not actually called that, but yes.
Is it not?
Yeah, but it is. Isn't it?
Oh, has it got a funny... it's probably got some long, stupid name, as they all do. And pretty much immediately, your microphone stopped working, and Dave, you styled it out. You just went straight into wedding dance mode for the entire song, and people got behind you. And I remember some people coming up to you at the end being like, that was my moment of that was my favourite moment. The bit where you didn't sing at all, you just danced.
I'm going to say outright, the people to thank for that is Dave and Beth, because we actually did go to Dave and Beth's wedding.
Yeah, the week before.
What was it, like a week before? And I fucking love a good wedding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
you got your practice in.
We got a chance to have a little jig at the wedding.
I loved it, literally, like, because the rest of the band gave you nothing, like, as they should, they're pro as hell, so they carry on playing, and you just ditched microphone, got your shoulders out, but got a microphone working.
I should say, I don't really remember doing it.
It was beautiful.
By this time, I'd had most of the wine.
It was a wonderful thing. And then you got given a microphone that worked and got to sing one word. Yells propaganda, and then the song was over. It was wonderful.
So again, I don't really remember. I don't remember at the best of times when we play. I think probably just adrenaline and stuff, but also often I've had a few.
Well, you guys are very good.
Good.
So there we go.
I'll tell you who was better.
Yeah.
Shooting Daggers.
Yeah, Shooting Daggers are fucking cool. Again, we have played them on our podcast.
We played them really early on.
I think they were in the first one.
I don't think it's the first. It might be the second, but yeah, it was really early, definitely.
Yeah, really early. I'd never heard them prior to us playing them on the podcast, and I was like, "This is amazing!" And they did not disappoint. They were so good.
Yeah.
And they had to go and play another metal gig the next day.
They did.
Good on them.
Yeah.
And they're very good house guests as well. Very superb, very good house guests.
Excellent house
guests.
So
if you're ever putting on Shooting Daggers, fight to have them stay at your house, because they're very, very polite.
Well, I'm sure everyone on this... I mean, no one had any issues. We all... loads of these
Sorry,
bands
not that I heard...
someone.
Yeah, I didn't hear any issues from any other camps, just to say. But yeah, Shooting Daggers are pretty fucking cool. The next band was Terrapins.
Yes.
Which, for those who don't know, that is Tim Loud.
I feel like it's another superb group in a way, to some extent. But let's not...
Yeah,
definitely Tim Loud.
He's put together a good band of accomplished musicians.
Yes, very much.
And Tim Loud is doing his music, and it's always a lovely pleasure to have Timothy Loud in Hastings.
Yeah, I think I'd hit peak at this point because I was really moved by...
You were emotional.
Yeah. Right. If I'd stopped drinking at this point, I think it would have been fine. But instead, there was
many bands
six bands left. But yeah, I thought... I love Tim Loud's acoustic stuff, and I love Tim Loud.
Yeah.
And... I just thought this band sounded fucking brilliant.
They were so good.
And I said to him afterwards, I don't think he's ever heard this band, but they really reminded me of the Flatliners. I think just because he's got a really good singing voice, and the guy from the Flatliners has got a really good singing voice. I don't... Stylistically, they're probably not that similar in a lot of ways. But there was just something about it. It just... He played a few of his songs that obviously he's done before acoustically and stuff like that, and they just, with musicianship underneath it, just... I don't know.
It went straight to your heart, David. You had a little, nice moment. Sorry, you weren't crying your eyes out to Tim Loud, not this time. Then the band that was meant to play, so we only had 2 bands pull out over the weekend.
Yep.
Comeback Clip, boo. And Brassic, unfortunately, weren't able to play for similar reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so in their place, we had Skinny Milk.
Yep.
Who, fucking cool. They both had already played in Top Left Club and got very sweaty.
Yep.
They had donned much more sensible outfits for their own set. And yeah, they've played Hastings a few times as well. It's always a pleasure to see Skinny Milk. They're an awesome kind of... again, what would you call this music? It's just
It's like psych, like garage psych punk.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I mean, again, just looking through this bill, there's just so many different styles and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely don't fit naturally into a punk festival. But they're also perfect for a punk festival.
yeah, and super appreciated.
Yeah.
Like just as such a cool thing.
It has just occurred to me that after playing a set in those fucking tracksuits, they had to go and sit down for an hour and a half. And then come back and try and play another set. Admittedly, not in the tracksuits, but still, Jesus
I wonder
Christ.
if they got in the sea to cool down. A lot of people got in the sea over the
that
weekend.
made sense, yeah.
I wonder if they had to sweat down. And then the next band that played were Rash Decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I only saw Rash Decision for the first time in the skate park gig that you guys played with them in Bristol a few weeks before.
Yeah.
And they're just so fucking good.
Yeah.
And again, another band that just... No one disappointed. I can't even stress to you how good every band was.
Yeah, I feel like going through this list it might be a bit
It made it
boring on
really
the listener.
hard to find time to eat, which
Yeah.
again leads to the after party that happened. But yeah, Rash Decision were fucking cool. One of my favourite bands of the weekend for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like Furious Noise. I loved it.
Perfect. And then from Furious Noise to, again, I don't know how you put these guys in a punk festival, but they were perfect.
I love them always. Mean Steed.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't heard Mean Steed, fucking go do it, because this is like right up my alley.
Yeah.
It's proper just 80s hair metal style.
Yeah,
Not hair metal.
Not hair metal,
it's
like heavy metal. It's
heavy
just heavy metal.
Yeah, heavy metal, but 80s themed.
But so the first time we ever saw Mean Steed, I don't really know how they got involved in the punk, because they played quite a lot of punk gigs, but I think they also mostly just play gigs with other metal bands and stuff. But we saw them at Wonkfest.
Yeah, first band on.
Years and years and years ago, in the small room at Wonkfest.
Yeah.
And again, it was one of those things where you come to a punk festival, you've seen a bunch of punk bands, and then you walk into a room and there's just this fucking heavy metal band playing.
Yeah.
And the guitarist is climbing on the tables and playing crazy guitar solos.
Yeah.
And doing all of this crazy
And they're all
stuff.
swinging their hair about.
Yeah,
and
they're
they're all playing
headbanging
like
and-
flying V's or the similar
Yeah.
equivalents. And it's proper like, wow, this is like foot stompingly fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love a Mean Steed interlude in a punk fest.
Absolutely.
Always.
Yeah.
Long may that last. The next band that played were Christmas.
From Germany.
From Germany, all the way from Germany.
Our first international band of the
Of the
fest.
night.
I mean, obviously, we were a bit worried about booking international bands. Or actually,
Yeah.
we weren't in the first place because
No.
we booked all of these bands for the year before.
Yeah.
But we were obviously, I think everyone was a little bit unsure, really. And Christmas really put in a shift. So I didn't quite understand this, so apologies if I get this a bit wrong. But because of the sort of rules in Germany about COVID, they could only be in the UK for like 48 hours.
Yeah.
And they wanted to come to the whole festival. So they came on the Friday.
Just in time.
They watched all the bands on Friday.
Yeah.
They obviously got up, watched all the bands on Saturday up to sort of possibly even the end. I think they were there until the end. And then had to drive to fucking Folkestone or whatever.
Yeah,
and
get the ferry.
Get the ferry back. Seems like a crazy law to me, really. Surely if you're going to bring COVID, surely the amount of time you spend in another country shouldn't really make that much difference.
Well, I
But
guess
anyway,
it does.
That's certainly not their fault. But,
Yeah, but anyway, they made it. I think they reportedly made it back with like half an hour to spare or something.
I mean, that's real effort.
Yeah.
And, I noticed on there they put a post afterwards saying that they were like the first sort of DIY punk band from Germany, as far as they were aware, that had actually managed to
Go out and play.
go and like work around those rules and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, good on them.
Show 'em how
And
to do
they
it.
were, again, another band that we saw in slightly less unlikely circumstances, but still quite unlikely circumstances. The only other time I've seen Christmas, Haste supported them at a hotel in Bexhill.
Yeah. Like a carpeted floor,
Yeah.
cruddy, shut down now
It has.
hotel. And it was like pool table still out, really lit up bar, people just eating peanuts at the other end. And they were fucking insane.
They were great, but it was literally, I can't explain enough that it was I loved that pub, Like I said, I'm not saying this in a like pompous way, but it was just a real fucking spit and sawdust
Gnarly,
like pub, like
yeah.
Foster's on tap.
Yeah.
You know, I think the sport was on. Some sport was on.
People
the
with
telly.
their kids are still down the
And,
other end
and
at
so
midnight.
People are not there. Well, yeah, some were, but a lot of people are not there for a punk gig. They're just there to get pissed on a Friday night or whatever. And again, if you've not seen Christmas Play, they're quite energetic.
Quite a performance.
And I guess, in fairness, not to blow my own bollocks, but like Haste are quite energetic too.
Yeah.
And I think it was Rat's Nest was the other band he played, who I can't say I remember that well. But yeah, I mean, it was just this weird. One side of the pub was a bunch of
weird.
blokes who just got, watching the football.
Yeah.
And around the other side was a bunch of punks watching a German band who just
I feel
come
like
over.
everyone enjoyed it.
It was
I feel like
fucking
people
great.
got involved from all
Everyone
corners.
loved it. It was brilliant.
Well, it was definitely well good to see Christmas in an actual punk place.
Yeah.
And well received. So good. Again, another highlight of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, speaking of highlights of the weekend, Jodie Faster.
More foreigners.
More foreigners. French band, probably the most charming punks that make such a ridiculous fast amount of noise that you've ever seen, and they are just ridiculously good.
Yeah.
Like, every other band was amazing, but like to have to be on the same bill as Jodie Faster must be quite a feeling when you see them.
You say that the first gig
Yeah.
of Haste's European tour
Yeah,
was in France,
with Jodie Faster.
and Jodie Faster played before us.
Oh God!
I think, is that right? I think they did. I'm sure they did.
Did they
out
open?
out of niceness, like
Yeah.
out of like So I think they played, and then Pizza Tramp played after us.
Yeah.
And then we just came
You
on and played
little sandwich for
played a
them.
load of fucking Doom.
And I must say, Jodie Foster are anything but Doom. They're like,
No, yeah.
imagine
And so-
punk and
yeah.
then speed it up far more than you think is possible.
Faster, almost make it faster. You could say.
Made it faster. But yeah, they were so fucking good. And yeah, what a pleasure to get to see them again.
Another band, who they've actually been on tour throughout the UK with Pizza Tramp and Rash Decision, and from what I've seen about it, the entire thing sold out.
Yeah,
right?
every show was sold out and crazy.
Yeah.
And they were back to back.
It's not remotely surprising. That's three incredibly good bands.
What a treat.
It sounds like
Maybe not for them doing it many nights in a row. I think they were all quite broken.
Shit, yeah.
I think Simon said that his back is like a prawn now. Oh dear.
Talking about backs like prawns.
Fucking harsh. So then, penultimate band of the night was Pizza Tramp.
Oh, do you know what? It wasn't, by the way. These bands all got moved around. I've just suddenly realised, but it's fine.
Oh, really?
We're doing these from Pizza Tramp had to play earlier.
Oh shit, they
and
did,
Christmas
didn't they?
And Jodie Foster moved up, but it's fine.
They had to play earlier because their stand-in bassist needed to go home
think
because
they
they'd been
broke-
on tour with Pizza Tramp this fucking
I think they
whole
broke.
week.
They broke him, poor bugger.
Oh gosh. So yeah, Pizza Tramp played, but they were absolutely over the moon to be playing so late and be so drunk by that time. But they did, again, as always, Pizza Tramp always go down superbly well. They're so good, and everyone in Hastings fucking loves them.
Yeah.
So always a treat to see Pizza Tramp.
Yeah.
And the final band of the night was the Filaments.
Yeah.
Who were just, as everyone expected, really fucking good.
Yeah, Filaments don't play like loads and loads, I don't think, anymore.
No.
And they're beloved.
They were very beloved.
And they were great.
Yeah, they absolutely smashed it. Everyone
Yeah.
went mental. And I think a lot of people felt very nostalgic about seeing the Filaments. Some people
Yeah.
are like, God, the last time I saw them was like 10, 12 years ago. So
Yeah.
to see them again and for them to be just as amazing was a real fucking treat.
It was, and it was absolute carnage.
Yeah, it was absolutely, yeah.
So I think, I should say it was absolute carnage for probably the last, almost every band to some extent.
True.
But yeah, definitely by this time the crowd were really pumped and really partying, and I think so was I, because I won't lie, Filaments set a little bit hazy in my mind. I remember the bits I can recall. I remember enjoying a great deal.
And I did actually, when we were just getting on to this bit, and I was like, and then the Filaments played, I shot you a look, and I could see that we were both looking at each other like, holy shit, I think I was really drunk at this point, because I remember seeing a trombone, and I remember dancing an awful lot, and I'm sure they were really good. Everyone told me they were good, but no, they were. I do remember some things.
Yeah, we don't touch much ska when it comes to Toxic Wotsit, generally. We only really book Plot 32.
Yeah.
And I suppose Dick Lucas's various ska projects. But Filaments are definitely not what I would, they've got ska elements, but
Yeah.
they're definitely not
They're much more
They're
than
not
that.
what I would consider a ska band.
No, it's very, very, very good. And then, thus then began the 2-hour party of dancing on the tables with random people from Hastings who joined all of the punks
Oh,
in the
yeah.
pig, dancing to the YMCA and singing into each other's faces furiously. It was really fucking good 2 hours of my life.
I imagine
Where I
that-
thought I was going to go home and then 2 hours went by and I was very drunk.
Yeah. I mean, so it, as always happens, descended into a complete party. Everyone was dancing. We have a playlist that we play between bands at like all of our gigs and all of our festivals and stuff. And it's all like 80s bangers and 90s bangers and stuff. And so there was just loads of that going on. Everyone was absolutely fucking trolleyed, apart from those people that weren't, of course. I feel bad saying that because I know there was people that weren't drinking and stuff. But
That's right. Well, everyone was dancing on the table.
But everyone was dancing, didn't matter. And then, like you say, a bunch of completely random, quite smart,
I
sort
would
of
say,
middle-aged.
50-year-old women out with their gay mates, basically.
Okay, yeah,
Because
probably.
all of a sudden, the campest of wonderful dancing started happening to YMCA, and I was being grabbed by people who I don't know to dance with them and sing into their faces.
But it was just wonderful because I do just, those people must have just come from another pub, or maybe they were at the theatre or something. Like, they'd obviously had a normal night.
Yeah.
And not that you can ever have that much of a normal night in Hastings because it's fucking Hastings. And then just to walk into a room, think, we'll go and get another drink in there. And then to walk in and just like, there's literally just these crazy hair, like everyone's got weird. Yeah, we don't notice it. It's, who we are or whatever. But they must have just walked in and just been like these
Really
tattooed,
tattoo freaks.
green haired, crazy drunk people who are dancing on tables and fucking going crazy to like Madonna. So that doesn't add up in their head, I don't imagine. But good on them. And a lot of them just fucking joined in.
My favourite bit is the YMCA starts and I'm dancing with you and you're like, what's this? And I was like, it's the YMCA. And you're like, ah! And you got straight on a table. And then I've seen loads of videos of this on like people's Instagram stories, and if you flick through the stories quite quickly, it goes from you to then maybe 3 people, to then quite a few people, to then tons of people. And I'm like, who's that woman in the red dress? And who's that man that's singing straight at me and pointing, who I do not recognise at all? And then that's when I realised, shit, there's tons of people here that we don't know, who aren't even punk in the slightest.
Some people from Hastings.
Who must be wondering, what the fuck is this? And is it always on a Saturday night here?
Those
they're
poor
all going to turn up
buggers.
this
Yeah.
Saturday. Wonder, why isn't there some weird man dancing on the table, pointing at me, singing the YMCA? Oh, but it was such a good party, such a good night.
So that was Saturday.
That was Saturday.
So how did we feel on Sunday morning?
Fucking not well.
I mean, I think we got home about 3.
Yeah.
And then we had to be back at the venue, although I was a little bit
You were
late,
very late.
as my fellow promoters will point out if they listen to this. But we needed to be back about 12.
Yeah.
And kind of like get up and, sort everybody out and what have you. So I reckon we could have only got about 4 or 5 hours sleep.
I think I slept for about 2 hours because it was
Sounds
just
about right.
very bad sleep. So that was fun.
So hangover?
Terrible. Yeah, say more.
More?
Yes. Well, we found these little strawberry Lambrini cans in the off license next door.
Keeping in mind that we were only going to drink wine.
I made no promises. I just needed the wine to get over my cold on the first night, and it did the trick. And by Saturday, I was feeling pretty well enough to drink ridiculous amounts of strawberry Lambrini. And then when we thought this is getting too sickly, we bought some little vodkas to stick in it to water it down and make it not so sickly, but make it. You end up being quite sick. And I don't think I drank much else other than that, so I just felt sugared and disgusting. But, fight through it.
When we got home, you just produced a small Smirnoff bottle from your handbag, like a proper seasoned alcoholic. And most of it was gone.
It was gone. It's all good. But yeah, hangover-wise, pretty rough. You?
Yeah.
You finished your stage wine?
Yeah, so once the wine had gone, I couldn't even tell you what I've moved on to, really, but it totally went out the window. All of my intentions to be straight edge went out the window. I definitely had at least one, if not, I think maybe 3 or 4 Jaeger bombs.
Oh, gosh.
There was just like, I don't know.
There's booze floating around. Yeah.
So yeah, not great, but I will say, not as bad as I deserved. I think I was definitely more sleep deprived.
Yeah,
by that
that's
point
it.
than like totally hungover. So yeah, but it was hard. Sunday was then hard. So then on Sunday, we move on to have a bit more of a relaxed day. Again, we've done this the last couple of years, and we have an acoustic sort of afternoon gig. Starts at 1, goes through till kind of whenever, but more or less like 4 o'clock, something like that. And last time, which was the first time we'd done it, it just worked really well because, again, loads of people had come down from, other places in the UK, and like a lot of the bands had obviously hung around after Saturday night, and so it was quite nice for like just kind of everybody to get together,
have a mong.
I think it probably helped a little bit with, it certainly did for me, but probably with a lot of people sort of anxiety of like, oh, was I a complete prick last night?
Yeah. Get to see some other hangovers in action and just make sure people are okay.
So it was quite a nice thing. And then on top of that, you get some really cool acoustic music, which again, we don't really mess with Toxic Wotsit. I know we've brought up the fact that we're obviously putting Tim Loud on soon, and that's going to be an acoustic show, but I feel like that might be the first one we've done since I've been involved of like all acoustic stuff. So we had one person pull out of the Sunday, which was AJ Simmons, which is a real shame because we played with him a little while. Well, it's not a little while ago because it was before lockdown, so a couple of years ago, probably in Bristol. He does loads of stuff just generally, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So he was replaced with Rob Luther, who's from Bitter Man, who had literally, I think, an hour's notice, maybe, and not a guitar. So he didn't even have a guitar to practice with, so he had to wait until someone else came with the guitar he was borrowing.
Also, I love it because, and I didn't know he'd ever done any kind of like acoustic or like folk punky stuff in the past, so I was a bit like, God, I wonder what Bitter Man and SLM songs are going to be like acoustic. And I thought it was pretty fucking brave, but no, he turns out he's had a folk punk past, and so he frantically remembered a few songs from God knows when, like you say, with an hour's notice on someone else's guitar, and after 3 nights of partying. And
as anyone will know, if you've ever seen the SLM, Rob's quite good at the guitar.
I love that this is his, like, he's in 2 other bands and this is just his, I can just, an hour's notice on 3-day hangover? I'll crack it out. And then lo and behold, turns out he's really fucking good at that as well. So.
I might forget a couple of words, but otherwise I'm going to play completely perfectly.
It was amazing. I think we were all just like, Jesus Christ, that I'm a bit in awe of what you can produce on no sleep, no warning, on someone else's guitar. It was a really good treat.
And then we got Ewan Fitzgerald, who is the bass player from Butane Regulators, who we talked about before. We love Ewan, and he does loads of different musical projects. He's always got various different things on the go, and he just played some really nice, like, I don't know if I'm going to get this wrong either, so sorry, Ewan, if you're listening, but I think it felt to me like it was obviously acousticized, kind of like American indie, it was like Dinosaur Jr. type stuff. It was fucking great.
We'd like you to say that. Very good. Yeah, Ewan's hilarious in as much as he used to come in the cafe every week and be like, I'm in another band. We'd be like, how many is it now? He's like, about 7. And they were all active. So he was always, I mean, even this weekend, I think he had to leave at one point to go play in another gig.
Oh shit, he did,
come back.
Yeah, he did.
Having already played on the Thursday at last minute.
Yeah,
notice.
he really put on a shift on Saturday, actually.
Yeah.
Was it on Saturday? Yeah, no, he watched like 10 bands or something. Then he went to a venue that wasn't that close.
Yeah, pretty far away.
Way away. Played a gig and then came immediately back and caught the last couple of bands.
Yeah, exactly. and then played on the Sunday. And he was again really good. It was always a nice little treat to see you.
As was Jason Sterling.
Yeah.
From Matilda Scoundrels. I feel like everybody must know Jason.
Yes.
Across the punk scene. Although if you don't, or we've played Matilda Scoundrels on this podcast before.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We haven't played any of Jason's solo music.
No.
We must.
We must do that next time. Hold us to it, Jason, because we will. and Jason's playing with Tim Loud at the gig in November, so if you're around, definitely come to that. But we'll play him soon.
Jason does kind of like folk punky type stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really, I don't know enough about, I've fucked around with an acoustic guitar, so I probably should, but I don't really know enough about folk punk to properly compare him to anyone. But I think what he's doing now to me sounds a bit like Mischief Brew, but kind of a bit more chilled out with some levelers thrown in.
Nice.
But I might just be saying that because I'm pretty sure he likes both those bands, so I might have just been messing it up.
But really fucking good, and I can't wait to see Jason again as well. So. And
last, but very much not least, to finish the festival, I suppose.
Yes.
Was Aoife Supertramp. Aoife is in Kildren, who obviously we've already talked about because they played on the Friday. But she's been doing acoustic music for ages, and she's brilliant.
Yeah, really, really, like, fucking good treat. She's got a set of lungs on her, and to be, like, still singing so ridiculously after screaming your face off on the Friday in Kildren.
Yeah.
It was, again, another real treat. And I'd not seen Aoife's solo stuff before. So yeah, it was just really nice.
And I
really
think,
good.
yeah, just to say again, like on the Sunday, again, as you do when you promote and things, you worry a little bit that like maybe people are going to be too hungover.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of people will have gone home. Maybe no one's really going to be up for coming to, after seeing loads of hardcore bands, do they want to come and see acoustic bands? But no, as happened last year, it was just a fucking lovely, relaxed, chilled out, like friend fest. People were coming. Some people came and just saw a little bit of it and then had to go, and that was all fine. It was a lot of like goodbyes, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just a really nice.
A lot of people having their hangover recovery lunch whilst listening to amazing music.
It's in fact, more people than I expected to be having their hangover recovery pints. If anybody managed to actually get out on it on Sunday,
I think
I would take my hat off to
I
you.
feel like members of the SLM were put in that position because they booked to stay the Sunday night thinking it was going on all night, and at 4 they were like, Christ, what are we going to do now? I was like, the pubs are still open, so they may have, who knows.
Yeah, but you say that, but we live in Hastings.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, by that we should still be drunk by what you just said.
Every day is a party in Hastings.
So I think we've gone on long enough.
Yeah,
I hope that
long.
wasn't just too much of a just list of bands. Again, we were just sort of winging it, really. We didn't quite know what we were going to do. But Siobhan, final thoughts?
I fucking loved it. I can't wait for that to happen again next year. No, it was really good. It was really nice to see everyone. I think my favourite thing is literally, I mean, all the bands were amazing, but I think it was just being able to be in a position where you're seeing that many bands. To only have 2 bands pull out was three acts pull out over the whole weekend was pretty good.
Yeah.
For people to be playing all together again, playing to big audiences of people that are just... I feel like it's going to be really appreciated for a really long time. And I think hopefully, gone are the days where people are playing to not many people at the beginning of festivals or at the beginning of gigs, because go and see every band now. Because remember what it was like when we didn't get to a gig for a year and a half.
We've all been taught a lesson.
Yeah.
COVID has sort of told us off.
Exactly. If a gig starts at a certain time, get there and watch every band, because it's been too long.
Because Siobhan says so.
Because Siobhan's band's going to be that first band on for years to come.
Well, not for long, I imagine. No, not for long.
But no, honestly, it was so good. It was great to see everyone. I think this is the first festival where I watched every band. A, because I didn't want to miss a single one, but B, yeah, I'm not going to. I'm aiming not to miss people now. It was just lovely. You? How'd you?
Yeah, it was fucking brilliant. I don't know what to say, really. I mean, I think a handful of stresses, I suppose, from the perspective of putting it on and worrying about things. And obviously, I'm sure this happens to absolutely everyone. In the days beforehand, you start thinking, oh my God, is everything going to go wrong? Particularly, one of our friends got COVID and we were like, oh my God, what if everyone gets COVID? What are we going to do? Where are the bands going to stay if everyone's house has got COVID? All that sort of stuff. And then you start thinking, oh shit, what if all the bands pull out? Yeah. What if no one comes because they're worried about, and all of this sort of stuff. And absolutely none of that was required. So, if you just shut your fucking brain off and just let everyone get on with it, then it turns out that everyone's just fucking brilliant.
Yay!
And that's more or less what I took from the weekend.
First.
Yeah, indeed.
It was amazing. So we'll play a song for you guys now. This is Sniff, which is Alex from Bobby Funk. He's now doing a solo stuff, and the song is Detergent. It's from his self-titled EP that literally just came out and is available online, so go to Bandcamp and get that downloaded. It's wonderful stuff and everyone's raving about it online at the minute. So this is Sniff with Detergent.
Desperate need of detergent.
trash.
This is sweet, sweet trash.
To avoid fainting, keep repeating.
I love when I see
Leave the auditorium. It's only a movie. Only a movie.
This episode's trashy film for review is Rockula from 1990.
He's shy. Misunderstood.
What do you do? I'm a vampire.
Have you ever seen one of these before?
18th century, right?
And he hasn't scored in 400 years.
Man, that dude sure got the blues.
He just met the perfect girl. And lost her for the 14th lifetime in a row.
Just forget the fact that we are the oldest living virgins walking the planet.
But all that is about to change. Because if the devil sold his soul, he still couldn't rock and roll.
I don't think I'm a vampire. I really am a vampire. Prove it.
Like Rockula.
Rockula down to the bodega sound. My name is Rockula. I'm gonna play my thing right now.
Rockula is about a male vampire who lost his lady love centuries ago. She was killed by a pirate with a rhinestone peg leg wielding a large ham bone. Our hero, the vampire, did nothing to save her. So now he is cursed to watch her be born again in another life and watch her die, strangely enough by a pirate with a rhinestone peg leg wielding you-know-what. Now in 1990, he has, he suspects, his last chance to try and save her, instead of watching her get clubbed over and over again down through the years. Oh, and he becomes a rock star in the process.
Jesus Christ.
I think that really well sums up
It does.
Rockula.
It does.
Dave, what were your thoughts on watching Rockula?
In many respects, this film I really should have liked this film. It had a lot of stuff in it that normally I think I would like, but there was something about it that just didn't do any of it all that well.
Yeah.
I think my biggest problem with it was that the main guy, Dean Cameron, who plays the titular Rockula, couldn't really carry off, I felt, that role that he was trying to play.
No.
And just to describe that role that he was trying to play, it was almost like, it was kind of like a real proper like comedic movie star. Not quite a Jim Carrey, but like somewhere in the, those sort of like, there's so many 80s films where it's just like, maybe even like totally different, but maybe even like Leslie Nielsen or something in Naked Gun. Like everything he said was sort of stupid. The script went for like constant jokes.
Yeah.
But this guy just couldn't. He wasn't very funny, I feel like.
Also, I don't feel like you say the script went for constant jokes. I don't remember there being many jokes.
Well, there was
apart from when there was obvious attempts at jokes.
Attempted jokes.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of things that you could tell they'd just misjudged a little bit.
So much misjudged.
Interestingly, this guy's main other credits are Summer School, Ski School, and Ski School 2. So that gives you an idea. More recently, I can't quite understand what this is. He started a karaoke band that parodies 3 different Coreys. Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, and Corey Hart.
I feel like you would like that.
That they call karaoke. When I first read it, I thought it was him and those 3 people. Obviously, it couldn't be because Haim's dead. Feldman's mad. And I don't know about Corey Hart. What's happened to him? He's the Sunglasses After Dark guy.
Oh, yeah!
So
he might be in it.
It isn't that. It's not that at all. It's just him parodying those 3 Coreys, only one of whom is really a singer. I mean, obviously, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman have both respectively made albums in their time.
Indeed.
But I can't imagine that anyone wants to watch this man sing karaoke over the top of them. He also claimed that his first ever album that he ever bought was Straight Outta Compton, which might have led, yes, to he's not only Rockula, this guy. He's also sometimes Rapula.
I wrote down some lyrics.
Go on.
There was a girl called Mina. She liked my wiener.
Yeah, that sounds about
that
right.
happened. Except the girl's called Mona. So the whole time I was like, why is he saying Mina anyway? Anyway,
I will say that I think all of his songs, not all of the, because it's not really a musical, this film. But what happens is, there's
an awful lot of songs.
There's a lot of songs in it, but the way that they work that in is that when he dreams, all of his dreams look like an 80s rock video.
Yes.
I mean, this film doesn't feel like it's made in the 90s. I know it probably
very
wasn't.
80s
I mean, it was
feeling.
made in 1990, but it's very 80s-y.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, as part of the story, the girl that he's going after is in a band, so sometimes he goes to a gig and then she'll sing a whole song. He starts a band in order to impress her, which is called Rockula. So obviously he sings a few songs and also does this Rapula thing. The craziest thing about this entire movie is that in his band is fucking Bo Diddley.
Bo Diddley.
Bo Diddley on the
Axeman.
guitar.
Yeah.
He was Axeman.
And he was in a gold leotard at one point during the rap scene.
So when he did the Rapula, he wasn't. He had a gold cape and leotard. And at one point, this guy walks up to him, points in the face, and says, "Are you dissing me?" And Bo Diddley says, "No." And that's very strange. It's really strange that Bo Diddley is in there. Susan Tyrrell, who is an amazing actress who just pops up in loads of like really crappy movies, pretty much, but she's always incredible. She's brilliant in it, but also she plays the bongos in his band.
Yeah,
so that's kind of weird.
It is weird.
Tony Basil is his mum.
Yeah.
Tony Basil being
oh, Mickey, you're so fun, you blow my mind.
the
Hey,
very
Mickey.
same.
Yeah.
But of course, because they're vampires, I think that they're more or less supposed to look the same age, if you know what I mean. That was the gist. But I would say Tony Basil is famously much older than you would think, and I think she was in her 40s or something when they made Hey Mickey. So she would have probably could have been this guy's mum, but she don't. I mean, not that she looks it in any way, shape, or form. I don't mean that, but yeah, there's a few things that I liked. There's quite a lot of montages, one of which, so he meets this girl that he falls in love with, who he thinks is going to die in 2 weeks' time by a pirate. Such a weird storyline.
With a ham bone.
With a ham bone. But so in order to find her, he goes around to like all of the cool places and he talks to some hair metalers in montage for a really long time. But it is a bit weird because it's just over a song. So
they're quite far away.
They're quite far away and they're just talking, but you can't hear what they're saying because it's a montage.
Yeah.
And it goes on for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's a bit weird. At one point, he's putting flyers up for his band, hoping that she will see the flyers and come and see them. And he puts one up on this really cool board of obviously genuine flyers from like Los Angeles in 1990. One of which is a St. Vitus, I noticed, which is that man who's now gone crazy.
Yeah.
And then after he plays this gig as Rockula. He does have quite a cool winged jacket, which says Rockula, but it's a bit weird because the K is just in his middle.
Just on his chest,
and then because there's 3 letters either side on each wing, that's kind of a bit strange. But after the gig, he walks down this corridor of people. It's like his first gig, and so he walks down this corridor, and there's all these people congratulating him. And the people are like, there's some like metal dudes, there's some like hair metal dudes, there's a couple of punks. And then there's like a tennis player. There's a midget for some reason. There's someone that looks like Spandau Ballet. But the weirdest one is that there's just a guy with a Finnish flag painted on his cheek, who's in like this blue sort of almost like wrestler's outfit, but he's really skinny. He's not like a wrestler. And I couldn't quite work out what he was, and I don't know why he had a Finnish flag on his cheek. Probably one of my favourite bits in this film is that when he meets the bad guy is played by this dude called Thomas Dolby, who it turns out we watched a couple of his music videos afterwards, and I think he was kind of a bit of a also ran pop star in the 80s.
I think he is also he's more predominantly a music producer.
Okay.
Like he's produced a lot of people, and he's now like, I think he's a very good musician, a very good music production person, and he's now like a professor at a university for it, who happened to make 2 hit singles in the 80s.
So because I mean,
he has had a few albums, but I don't think they go anywhere.
Yeah, I thought I'd heard his name before, and his songs are like not terrible, but they're not particularly great. They definitely didn't stand out. But he is the most annoying English human being in the entire world. He stands out like a fucking sore thumb just because he's got... I mean, he's supposed to be. He does have quite a cool character because he manages the girls' band, I think, although that's never totally obvious. But he also runs what I think is just a graveyard. His name's Stanley, and it's called Stanley's Death Park. And he does these cool like TV adverts that I quite enjoy. About like one of them's about all of the, like the new coffins that he's got on the thing, and that's quite funny. And there's another one, and it sort of looks like almost like an amusement park, doesn't it? But he's just being a twat at the front. Yeah. But the bit that I really love with him in it is that when him and Rockula have a fight, he's got a ham bone. Rockula's got some sort of weird, like, spangly... Almost, it's not really a sword, but it's kind of the shape of a sword. And so instead of just having a fight, they do this, like, fencing thing where they pretend to do fencing. And they kind of run at each other with their swords, but they both totally miss and then kind of bump into each other. And then both look down, and the joke is that their cocks are touching, and then they sort of go, "Ooh!" That's the funniest thing that happens in this film.
I mean, and the words to that is that a ham bone, Stanley? This explains our little backstage pork fest. Which is,
I missed that.
And then when Stanley hits his mum, he goes, "That was my mother you just boned." So basically, I think the whole point of having this ham bone as the weapon was just to have those two jokes at the end, which is pretty shit.
Yeah.
He also, as part of his death park, because he has weird adverts that come on a few times, and it's only in the second advert that it becomes clear that it's a graveyard, because he actually points to some graves. And he also does this, like, meditation bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember him just going, that mantra felt good. Like, what the fuck is this?
But it's weird, isn't it? Because, oh God, it's so convoluted. But at the end, he's trying to kill the woman by putting her in
a cryogenic
chamber. And part of that advert is all of the different things that you can get played through the cryogenic chamber.
Oh,
One of them, I think, is him doing that mantra.
Yeah.
And so when he ends up, obviously everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
He ends up getting beaten up by the hero, and he ends up in there. What happens is that it just starts playing this kind of relaxing...
But I remember what it says to him. The mantra that it says over and over again. My 9-9 is an extension of my penis. My 9-9 is an extension of my penis. Over and over again. He was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Well, actually, in hindsight, that's probably the funniest.
Yeah. I remember the mum does a sexy dance during coffee after dinner because she has the boy and the girl that he's trying to save over for food, and then for some reason they go, should we have coffee in the other room? And then it just cuts straight to her dancing and singing and doing a rap at him.
Well, and she's got some sort of weird professional wrestler boyfriend
who falls into the record player, and when he tries to put it back on, he just does he does a bit of a DJ scratch. It's just fucking shit.
It's just like everything that they sort of knew about music, they just tried to include, but without any of the backstory to any of it.
So the only other thing I liked about this film, spoiler alert, I liked almost nothing about this film, was that the guy who is a vampire the entire time, except he isn't subject to any of the normal vampire things. He's not scared of crosses, he's not scared of daylight, he's not scared of garlic. He likes garlic.
Keeps colds away.
They make a point of that, but they never explain it. He just says, I'm immune. Oh, cool, explained, done. He does this thing to prove that he is a vampire to the girl by turning into a bat, and you think he'll just turn into a fluttery bat, but he doesn't. He turns into like a tiny little, well, not tiny, like quite a large, stodgy human being in a bat outfit who farts when he walks.
Yeah, he does.
I don't understand why that happens at all.
I don't say this with any sort of like mean spirit, but I think that they must have had a cheaply available casting studio that cast midgets.
Yeah,
because there's that weird bat is definitely like a little dude,
person,
and there's this really strange bit where Tony Basil's in the bath. She says, instead of me, she says we or something, and he says, who else is here? And then
a small midget
a small guy who I definitely recognise from other films, like just suddenly pokes up from the
bubbles.
And I think I don't know what he's doing down there, but I don't think it's anything sexual. I think it sounds like he was just, I don't know. I can't remember. The jokes aren't good.
No. I mean, like you say, when you said there was loads of jokes, I was like, I mean, I don't know. There's attempts at jokes throughout the film.
So this is the thing that confused me about this film. Normally, a film like this where there's attempts... I'm sure anybody that's listened to this podcast and has heard some of the reviews we've done of films that are utter dog shit and have loved. There's no real difference between this and them.
Yeah.
But there is something that they just don't quite... It doesn't quite hit the mark.
No, it doesn't. Reviews online say otherwise. Some people think this is brilliant, but I just don't think it's it just isn't as good as I would hope.
What did you think of the music? Because a lot of the music, most of it fits into the sort of kind of big head, like 80s pop kind of stuff. I think it's similar to the film. It was fine. It was quite well done, and it was all right.
Yeah,
but it didn't quite. None of them were good. There wasn't any song that I remember.
No, none of the songs were particularly good, and none of them could sing, which doesn't make any difference really, but it just was kind of just a bit painful.
Yeah.
I think I was... None of the songs were great, none of it saved it, so I think I was kind of out by that point, which is a shame. Because it sounds, like you say, on paper it should be amazing. When I walked in the room one time and you were watching on YouTube just the Tony Basil song. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
But then the whole film together, I was like, you know what? It's not that great.
Yeah, no, I presumed it was going to be
It's a
great.
shame.
Maybe that's what it is as well. It was like, I really thought this was going to blow our minds.
Yeah.
And it just didn't.
Oh, a bit of a fizzle for this film. Rating? What are you giving it?
I think it deserves a 4.
Oh!
It wasn't... It's the type of film I could probably watch again, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
it definitely wasn't great.
2.5.
Fair
Didn't love
enough.
it so much.
Rockula, ladies and gentlemen. It is on YouTube in its entirety.
So it will be on the playlist.
So it will be on the playlist, but I don't doubt that anything we've said has made you really want to watch it. But it might be... Do you know what? I think if I'd watched it in a different mood, I might be saying completely different things.
True, very
So,
true.
so
Try it
maybe
again
then.
sometime.
So now we're going to move on to some more music. We're going to do another old song. This isn't quite as old as a lot of the ones that I've played. This one's from 2011. It's a band called Sharkpact, who were from Olympia, Washington. They were on Reviver's label at some point, and it's from an album called Ditches, which came out via that label, which was called Rumbletown, and I think their own label as well. As far as I can make out, they are not doing anything anymore, but they did make 2, I think maybe even 3 albums, and they're all up on Bandcamp. I would really check them out. It's just like fucking brilliant synth punk.
Amazing. I heard it earlier and I thought, why did I not know about this before? So good.
Really good. So this is Sharkpact with their happy song, Death.
So this brings us to the end of this episode of Breakfast Punks. Thanks for listening to the whole episode if you've come this far.
We made 20 of these.
Yeah, this was episode 20. It's crazy. What
crazy.
the hell is happening?
I reckon it must be 45 to 50 hours of us talking.
Fuck, I am so sorry. It's not really a service, is it? Over the weekend we got loads of nice feedback and support from you guys, so that's really appreciated. And as always, if you've got any feedback or anything to let us know about, then please do contact us. You can get us via the instant messages on Instagram or email us at shamsieroasters.com. It's probably shamsieroasters.com.
I mean, you can
go on there, but please do. There's new coffee, go look. Shamsieroasters@gmail.com is a good way to get in touch.
And please go and have a look at our YouTube channel, Breakfast Punks Podcast, and there is always a playlist that we put loads of random shit that we've talked about on each episode on there. You can also listen to the episode on there, and give us a little review if you're listening to this on any sort of podcast app.
Yes.
We might not see it, but it might help people find us.
Yeah, and it's always appreciated. So we'll end with one last song. This is from This Living Wreck. The song is Big Bad Wolf. This is Joe from Bexhill, who contacted us really recently. So hi, Joe. The stuff is available online via Bandcamp. And Joe is playing the Prince Albert in Hastings on the 9th of October and also the Tunbridge Wells Forum on the 1st of November. Described as punk blues. I think that's pretty apt, actually. And really cool. So this is This Living Wreck with Big Bad Wolf.
We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Ta-ra!
Like clockwork.
Bye.
Bye.